Hello AJ, how are you doing, mate?
Well, Frank, the spring is pretty much upon us, which means I've been slapped in the face with a lovely bout of hay fever. Feeling it just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm the same, but I constantly take antihistamines, so I'm on them throughout all the year, so I don't feel as bad in the eyes I do. My eyes are constantly stinging.
Yeah.
As you probably see, they're probably really red around the...
Just a little bit. Looks like you've been using a bit of the fun backy.
Oh, right.
It does.
I wish.
Say, well, this plate of chocolate in front of me would have been gone if you had.
That would have improved the it improved my life so much.
Probably would have improved this podcast a lot.
All the funny stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that.
No, don't do that.
We could do the show on funny stuff. What we need to do is, rather than Rowena give you cakes and chocolates, she needs to do some sugar-free versions and go and see our local dealer and get a bit of hashish, baby.
Oh my god. I mean, I literally bought in this protein shake just to sup on.
That's what you said is.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you plate of chocolates in front of me now, and I sort of feel obliged to either eat it or put it in my pocket and stuff.
I was going to say anabolics.
Get a box, take it home.
Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, so what have you been up to? Other than enjoying the
hay fever
what is
weather.
it? Is it tree or grass? Which way does it come? I can't remember now.
I think it's tree.
Is it plant first?
Yeah.
Then grass, then tree.
I thought it was plant, tree, grass, but
I can't remember. Rowena knows better than me. She always reminds me.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm always I'm on full strength antihistamines.
So you've got a tolerance for it already, haven't you? You've sort of built that up.
Yeah, I have to carry on taking it because if I stop, I lose all that resistance before it starts, and then it takes a long time to kick in.
It's a problem. Yeah.
It helps your immunity.
No.
It helps your system to
That's fine.
adjust quicker, I think. But yeah, I always feel at this time of the year because right now I feel like I've got a headache.
Oh,
a permanent headache, head pain.
Yeah.
Not headache, but head pain.
If you
Feels like all my so my ears, my nose, my eyes all feel
bunged up,
squeezed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It'll do that to you. It's not pleasant. This is the bit of spring and summer I don't like. Long days, absolutely fine. Warmer weather, not a problem. But the hay fever, that's a real problem.
Yeah. So, what have you been doing to distract yourself? Keep it clean.
Shut up. We're not that kind of show. Family.
I don't know. I think we've dropped a few notches, haven't we, over the last few weeks? I think
notches
it's getting
in dignity.
It's all getting to us now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, I always say, don't believe everything that you hear on a podcast.
Touche.
Everybody talks bollocks, don't they?
Yeah. Make sure you put the explicit label there on them. Just dropped the B word. I haven't really been doing an awful lot to distract myself. I've been out doing a bit of running. I've booked myself in for the Blackpool Marathon at the end of this month, so I've been doing a lot of running. I think I say that's going to be fun, but from what I've gathered on it, all it is about 8 lengths of the Blackpool Prom.
Is it? Oh, that's boring.
Yeah, between the northern end of Blackpool and sort of down towards Lytham and St Anne's Way, and then just back up again. So it's just a bit boring, really.
Yeah, it sounds extremely boring.
But
mind you, I think, having done it many, many moons ago when I was young enough and fit enough, marathons are very boring anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter where you go. And I'd sooner be on the flat than up, down, down.
Going up hills.
Up, hill, down, down.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I think
doesn't sound as though there's going to be any high level running on that, does there?
No.
Can't be, can there?
No. It's all flat. It's all smooth. Nothing's really going to affect my
listen, the only thing that's going to compromise you potentially is crossing the tram line and getting knocked over.
Just like a Coronation Street.
Coronation. Yeah, talking about subs. No, I won't talk about them today.
Not talk about subs
for a change. But so I've had quite a few meetings this week.
Yeah.
Some
Productive ones.
Others, more insightful than productive, but it all helps.
Yes, it does.
And just enjoying being involved in the political sort of shenanigans that are going on.
It's all kicking
which
off,
we'll talk about at the end of the show when we talk about Skem, of course. But it's all exciting, all interesting. I find it. Okay. I've always found politics to be extremely, interesting. Frustrating, but interesting at the same time.
You were born into a period where Labour were kind of in and out of Downing Street, whereas I've only really known. The Blair Premiership happened when I was 3, and then the Brown Premiership finished when I was 16. Yeah. But then through all of my adult life, all I've ever known really, up until 2 years ago, is right wing politics, both centre right.
I don't think I'd been able to speak to my dad really, because my dad talked politics, football. Yeah, he liked to talk about football. By and large, he was a big union man, and he loved his politics. And everywhere he went, it didn't matter which pub or bar we were propping up, we'd end up arguing with somebody about politics.
Father Scargill,
yeah. Wasn't quite as bad as him, but he had an opinion and he stuck to it. But I think I mentioned it to one or two people this week that, my dad's opinion was that, politics is just a theory. When you put the theory to practice, you either have success or failure based on who votes the most for one or the other. Yeah. And that success doesn't last forever. So you go back to the drawing board again somewhere down the line and you create politics again. Yeah. There's no right or wrong.
Oh, I don't know about that.
There isn't. It's the thing is, you don't work. Well, there is a right and wrong, but very few of us achieve to be right all the time. So you don't find out. What you do is you'll get something across the line. So somebody will vote for something because they all believe the narrative. They'll look at the optics. So they believe the optics. The optics are the things that you can see and that impress you the most.
Yep.
But eventually, once the facts replace the optics, and the facts are already there, it's just a lot of people don't want to seek them out. But when they eventually do, they realise then that they've been backing the wrong horse, and then you go back to the redrawing board. That's why politics. That's why the world is in such a mess, because nobody can. If we could agree to meet in the middle, I know people don't like sort of middle for diddle politics. But centralist politicians and politics is probably the only thing that works for the majority rather than the few. Whereas if you go too far left, too far right, you're creating a monster.
Yeah, I've always had the theory that if you go too far left or too far right, eventually you meet the other one in the middle, and then you've got just two extremes who are both as bad as each other.
And my dad used to say to me that if you fight for long enough and hard enough, eventually you both put your tools down and you'll shake hands. I don't see that happening with Trump at the moment, do you? With Trump and Keir Starmer.
No, and I applaud Keir Starmer for what he's doing there, but I think, God, I don't even know what to think about him, to be honest. All I know is that it cost me £130 yesterday. Do you
notice how I deliberately segued you into this conversation? Because I've been reading what you put on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Go on, so you spent how much on your shop and petrol?
So my shop was 55 and my petrol was 75.
That's for a week?
Yeah, that's for... so the petrol may last a little bit longer, but the food absolutely won't.
No, but not if you've taken protein shakes. That'll cost you a fortune already. A bag of protein whey powder probably cost you half of that anyway, didn't it?
A bag of protein cost me about £25, but that'll last me...
half your shop,
that'll last me a month, though. Between the...
So you're not dining out on caviar and drinking champagne, that's for certain?
No, not at all. No. I just want to eat well in my own house. But Brexit rules indicate that I'm not allowed to do that without paying a hefty price, and then that orange guy over the other side of the pond has decided to fall out with somebody, and now all of a sudden my petrol costs £75.
So what has it roughly gone up by? About 15%, is it? Fuel prices at the moment?
15 rising to 20, something like that. Yeah, it's about 154p a litre.
But we've seen this happen before without even a smidgen of a war, haven't we?
Yeah, we saw that during COVID.
Yeah, but we've had it since then, haven't we? We've had it in between COVID and now, and we've had it before.
Never this bad and never this publicised. This is the difficult thing about publicising difficulties in other countries, and the knock-on effect that this leads to is that people panic buy. We saw it with the toilet rolls in during COVID time, and I think we're seeing it now, that I had to travel to 3 different petrol stations before I could get some fuel yesterday, and that was out of Preston. So
places are running out?
Yeah, places had run out
I've not
petrol.
run across that yet, so to be fair.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I encountered it. I was able to.
But I remember going back, I think it was when they had the strike, the tanker strike, back, it's a long time ago, because I was driving down to Cornwall at the time. And I got onto, I think it's the A30, isn't it? The last stretch between Devon and...
After you leave the M5.
M5, yeah.
Yes.
So that's the big dual carriageway right down to the end of... Practically just before you get to Land's End, isn't it? Not quite. I think it ends at a place called Corth. Oh, God's sake. I sort of know it and I sort of don't. Yeah, I've been there loads of times and still can't remember the place. But anyway, I remember getting stuck behind the fuel tankers then.
Wow.
Because they were protesting, weren't they?
They know how to strike then.
Yeah, they had the slow motion. So what should have took me about 8 hours, well, say 8 hours, shouldn't have even took me 8 hours. I think it took me 13. That last drag was unbelievable. But yeah, I don't think they need an excuse to ram the fuel prices up. But I mean, so this is all because of the Straits of Hormuz it's
closed off.
It's closed off.
Yes.
Unless you're Donald Trump and he says, listen, they're sending 12 tankers of
whatever
ships over through the Straits of Hormuz for me, just for a present for me. Now that man can't use as much petrol or diesel as that. So
yes, he can when he's ordering.
So where's he going to? He's gone back to his own country, and they're sitting on top of what I believe the United States of America have got the biggest oil reserves in the world, haven't they?
Ew. Not far away if they don't.
Yeah. But it makes you sceptical anyway, doesn't it, for the reasons why we have wars in the first place, to protect our own oil reserves.
Do you know, actually, since the whole discussion about fuel and oil, there's been a 36% spike in interest in electronic-based cars. More people are looking at that now.
Yeah.
Because obviously I say obviously, but there's far more electricity around than there is oil and combustible fuel.
So as a young man, most young men don't want, and young people don't really want to think about politics until it affects them. At what point do you start looking into the reasons why fuel prices have gone up? You already aware of? Are you politically enough?
I think so. I like to think so.
Yeah, aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
But are you also one of those kind of people that when recessions start to kick in, then you start to dig for information, or you were always aware in the build-up?
No. So let me think about it. So I think I was probably I was probably on the same kind of wavelength as everybody else when Liz Truss's mini budget crashed the economy, 3 or 4 years ago? Yeah, I was aware of it then. I was aware of what Brexit would do to British trading, importing and exporting, and I knew what that kind of problem that could raise. So I've kind of been aware of it over the last 10 years or so, largely because these kind of groundbreaking political decisions and events have happened during my quite short lifetime, in the grand scheme.
Lots happened. I mean, a lot's happened in the last 6 years, 7 years. I'm 58, coming up to 59 years of age in July, and that last sort of 7 or 8 years has been a complete eye opener for me compared to all those previous years. I mean, we went through the recessions of the 80s and the early 90s, and even further back than that, when there was the 3-day, what was it, the 3-day working rule? The strikes.
Was it the Winter of Discontent?
Yeah, the Winter of Discontent.
That was 1974, give or take.
Was it? Oh, I can't remember now.
I wrote an article about it once upon a time. Yeah. So I think it was about 74, give or take. But even more recently than that, you'll have sat through the credit crunch of 07. Yeah, and what that kind of did to the economy. All these kind of political ground shakes, I've kind of been, I've seen it, I've read about it, and been inherently affected by it as well. Like, I can't buy a house as easy as anyone.
So how do you feel about... I wanted to ask this question because it's relevant to me and relevant to you and the people that we share friendships with at the moment. How do you feel about the way, satirically, and even worse than that, just deliberately, people have a pop at Keir Starmer? I can understand his politics and the lack of decision making, and then him coming through as a stronger person and saying no to Donald Trump. But what's your position on the way that he's treated and portrayed by...
I hate it.
The keyboard warriors?
I hate it because I think it was something that you mentioned about a week or 2 weeks ago, is that people decide that their opinions are facts and they don't actually look at facts and statistics. So even though migrant boat crossings are down in this country, people don't see that as a win for the government. They see that as, the weather's poor, they've all gone to Belgium, something like that. I see media outlays deciding that Keir Starmer standing up to Donald Trump and saying, no, we're not part of this war, is a Prime Minister who doesn't have a plan. And the thing is, a lot of those two outlets, both the social media outlets and the actual media outlets, all have an agenda. More people read the Daily Mail in this country than any other newspaper outlet. All of them feed on that and then kind of spew it all out, thinking that it's actually true, forgetting completely the political agenda behind it. So I kind of despise it, the same way that my father despised how Gordon Brown was treated during his premiership. In terms of economy and stuff, that guy was really clever and led us through a major financial difficulty, and actually we were okay for it because of him. And in the same way that Starmer's now leading us through probably one of the biggest financial crises of modern times. He's leading us through kind of a post-Brexit trade difficulty, where a cost of living crisis, an international war that we are apparently caught up in, inherited by 14 years of Tory rule.
David Cameron, who offered the
referendum.
The referendum.
Yes, he did, thinking he would win it. Because that would secure his premiership for the long term. But it came back the wrong way, and then obviously he resigned off the back end of it and didn't.
Well, if you were dishing out criticism, it should firmly be in his quarter, shouldn't it? Really,
it is, and to a degree.
But it isn't, is it? Because, like you say now,
no, he isn't to blame.
Keir Starmer is too weak. He's too wet, according to everybody. That's got an agenda to be against him, and of course then we'll probably talk a little bit more later in the end of the show about propaganda. Propaganda, it once again it replaced them facts. The reason I mention it is because Rowan and I had a conversation this morning, and she rang me up and she wasn't feeling great, and we talked about it, and I said, well, I know how we're feeling at the moment, but I said, just imagine how the likes of Keir Starmer's feeling and his family, and how much that must affect them. And I know he's a bit younger and probably fitter than me,
He's 62. He's older
is
than
he?
you.
Is he older than me? Or,
He is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've only seen that little sort of clip of him on Twitter where he's playing.
He's playing football.
Almost playing football. Was he? Is this from years back or was it
No,
recently?
this is quite recently. But this is how he tries to relax ahead of running a country that just appears to be at his throat 99 times out of 100.
And he's not allowed to.
No.
He's
not allowed to relax. He's not allowed to play football. He's not allowed to watch Arsenal Football Club. You mean he's sitting with security in a secure box? How very dare he?
I know.
Everybody will find some reason to absolutely slaughter him. But as soon as Boris Johnson absolutely breaks the economy, breaks all the rules under the sun, prorogues Parliament, misleads the Queen, oh, he's fine, he's one of us, he's just being funny. Piss off. Fucks me off, does politics, because the British public are just so thick about it.
Yeah, in fairness, you're right. But then we're talking about bullying antics. Boris Johnson and his family have been subjected to it. Donald Trump's family have been subjected to it. We seem to have less sympathy for the ones that are actually actively going against probably the grain with a lot. But I think in terms of politics, I think the world has got fed up with yes and no and wets, and that's why the likes of Donald Trump has got a second term. That's why Boris Johnson got an opportunity in the first place. Because we look at Mavericks because we think Mavericks are going to be the ones that are going to change the world for us.
I'll tell you something. Boris Johnson was elected on the back of being able to get Brexit done. He won by a landslide because Jeremy Corbyn had absolutely no idea what he was going to do to try and negotiate a decent deal for Britain out of Brexit. Donald Trump was elected because Americans will not elect a woman or a woman of colour.
Yeah.
Even they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, and apparently Americans thought that was fine to elect, not somebody who was district attorney in the state of California and actually has a really good political background because she was the vice president under Biden. But no, apparently, that funny guy from The Apprentice, he did a really great job between 2016 and 2020 when he crashed the economy and told people to drink bleach. To get rid of COVID. Yeah, that was great. Also removed us from the Paris Agreement, but hey, better than a woman of colour.
But you know what the thing about Trump is? Yeah, he did refer to drinking bleach, didn't he, during COVID? Yes! But, I mean, anybody with a certain amount of sense would have said, well, that's not happening now. First of all, it's not my drink of choice. I'd sooner have a beer. And that was probably more effective than any sort of booster jab or whatever. Because I don't believe I've been the same since I had the booster jab. The first one, I was okay. I felt as though there was a bit of a recovery because I struggled really, really bad in September. End of August, September in 2020. I was really bad up until February. And 2 weeks after I'd had my first jab, I was right as rain.
That's interesting.
And then I had the booster jab a year later, was it? Whatever. And I was back to being ill again all the time, on and off ill. But yeah, I mean, what I'm saying to you is there's nobody daft enough to drink a bottle of bleach, is there?
No. But the president says that you should, and everybody thinks you.
But you wouldn't do it, would you?
You have a second term.
And going back to Keir Starmer, by the way, because you were talking about it before, when he made his decision to go against the Americans,
great call.
Great call, but he was never. He wasn't prompted before. He didn't know that they found out very, very late on that they were going to invade Iran.
Yeah.
So there was no warning. It was no like, well, we're talking about breaking up
the special arrangement.
Yeah, breaking up the special relationship and withdrawing from NATO, was it?
Yes.
We were talking about withdrawing from NATO off the back of Starmer being a flake. The world is mad.
Yeah, it is.
But then even more so are the people in it.
Yeah. They
don't make it any better. And it's funny because I was watching excerpts of Deontay Wilder versus what's his name? Parker.
Oh, Joseph Parker.
Is it Joseph Parker?
It is Joseph Parker.
They're fighting on Saturday, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Is it Joseph Parker?
It is Joseph Parker. New Zealand boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph.
And New Zealand does it. I thought he was from Zimbabwe.
Mm-mm.
Listen, anyway. I was listening to that, and basically the two of them make real sense, that you can fight each other. Everybody wants to have a scrap every now and then. You can have a fight, and then you forget it, and then you move on to the next fight.
Yeah. That's how most boxers and MMA fighters will treat each other. They'll hate each other all the way up until...
Nobody licks the wounds in politics, do they? They go worse. They fight harder.
Or they jump ship to preserve their political career.
Yeah. Piers Morgan says that you're probably the most honest guys in the world, boxers, because, if you hate someone and you want to punch the lights out, that's exactly what you're going to do. Yeah. At the end of it, you'll kiss and make up and you'll be friends again.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, listen, we're not going to put the world to rights in our pre-show show.
But let's just get back inside our non-league bubble.
Let's talk about football.
Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. I'm Frank Hughes, the chairman of Skelmersdale United Football Club, and alongside me is my co-host and passionate press officer, AJ Vigette. Not that being involved with the football club is a prerequisite for hosting a football podcast, but it certainly helps. We are ready to dive headfirst into the vibrant world of non-league football in the Northwest, and we might even take a moment to discuss some of the bigger headlines in the sport. We'll explore life in the Northwest counties, bring you interviews with well-known faces in the league, and analyse how local teams are performing while making bold predictions for their upcoming matches. Nothing is off the limits here. We'll be diving into all kinds of topics, including complicated refereeing decisions and regulations that often leave fans perplexed. We want to hear from you too. This is your show, so don't hesitate to reach out with topics you want us to tackle. Let's get this conversation started and enjoy every single moment. We are speaking frankly. Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. This is episode 36 in season 2. Who'd have thought we'd get that far, AJ?
I thought people would have binned us off long ago, not necessarily because Northwest Counties and non-league in general at this level is not without interest, but because we are just not very good radio show hosts. But evidently... people find...
Speak for yourself.
But listen to me. Before I came on side here, honestly, you were 5 episodes. Yeah, now we are 6 episodes, and now we're at, 70 overall?
We're getting close to 70
now.
So
it's
36, 46, 56, 60...
How's your maths?
62 shows.
Exactly.
62 or 64.
Exactly. So from 6 to 64 with the help of a show turnover and an extra host.
So anyway, listen, a warm welcome to my co-host, AJ.
Yeah, hello everyone, hello. Thank you very much for tuning into yet another episode. As I've said already, they've not kicked us off the airways yet. You lot still keep coming back for more, so until you all disperse and find the snooker much more entertaining than us, we're still going to be here. On today's show, we'll look at the Northwest Counties, where one of the 3 titles up for grabs in the Northwest Counties League has been secured, but that doesn't stop all the rest of the drama from flying out of the Northwest Counties. We're going to be looking at City of Liverpool, Burscough, Atherton, LR. We're going to look at Thornton Cleveland's, Droylsden, Nelson and Ashton Athletic. We'll look at the FA Trophy semi-finals as well. We'll also look at Division 1 South, which I weirdly omitted there. Runcorn Town, as well as Eccleshall and Sandbach and Hormond, all in the mix of headlines there. We'll look at the FA Trophy semi-finals and heartbreak for both Marine and Southport. We'll look at Prescott Cables, Bury, Lower Brett, Clitheroe, all the usual further afield Northern Premier League clubs. We'll visit Controversial Corner, where Dave Pace has been pulling his hair out, and we'll look at the big changes to be implemented into youth football. In part 2 of the show, we'll be interviewing Peter Cartledge, who is the chairman of the high-flying Northern Premier League West side Runcorn Linnets. And then in in part 3, we'll have our expert analysis, our fixtures and predictions. We're going to talk Skelmersdale United, and we'll also talk about the biggest support in non-league. We do like numbers on this show, so we'll give you a few of the best supported non-league teams out of the Northwest counties as well, before we wrap it up with our final thoughts and words and our responses to the deal between West Lancashire Junior Football League and the JMO. So, Frank, where do we start first?
Well, we always start with the Northwest Counties Round Up and the Premier Division. So it's really tight at the top of the table. Wythenshawe are just a point above Ramsbottom, and although they will be kicking themselves following their injury time defeat against Remy, who'd have believed that, Litherland Remica managed to pull off the shock of all shocks. But listen, what we do know about non-league football is it continually churns out injustices. The wording's great here.
Injustices?
Injustices, yeah, because they played Remy any time before Steve Scott had took over, then they win this fixture absolutely hands down. But this is the cruel reality and nature of football at that level. So that's what happened. Wythenshawe lost to Remy.
Injury time.
Yeah, I keep saying Remy when it's Remy.
No, it's Remy.
But we didn't expect that, did we? Certainly.
I was absolutely buzzing with that result just because of how much it absolutely throws you and thrills you.
But even you didn't predict it.
I didn't predict that, not at all. I thought, and I didn't think Wythenshawe were going to absolutely canter to it, but I thought they'd get the 3 points one way or another. There is a reason that they're top, but Litherland have shown that on any day, any team within the Northwest Counties Premier can beat any other team. And having got this win now, which was at Wythenshawe, by the way, so they didn't even have home advantage, did Remy. They've sort of installed a belief within themselves and within their fans that they can beat anybody on any given day. Because Wythenshawe they've beaten, West Didsbury and Chorlton I think they've drawn with, Ramy that they've drawn with as well. So they keep taking points.
We'll talk more about Remica, further into it. But yeah, you're spot on there. But it was an injury time winner for Remy.
Yes, it was.
So that was great.
Absolutely amazing. Proper.
It's made it more interesting, more exciting at the top. There's no doubt about that.
It has, yeah. Wythenshawe, just a point, as you say, above Ramsbottom. Chatterton,
who we considered to be the only team that could topple Wythenshawe. Yeah. But now looking at it, Atherton LR's 20-match unbeaten streak is really highly admired. Yeah. October and November was clearly a period for them to forget. But you think if they'd nicked a few points back then they would have easily been favourites to win the league. But that's not the case. That's not to say that they're completely out of it yet. The only worry for them is the worry is that they might run out of steam. That can often happen when you reach the playoffs. You go with momentum. You get to the playoffs, and the playoffs is just a game or two too many.
Possibly.
Do you think that would be the case, or do you think they'll fly through this?
I think it won't be off Davy Jones's radar. As we said a few weeks ago, Atherton LR have got one of the smallest squads in the Northwest Counties. They're already without George Chadwick for the rest of the season, their first choice right back. So they have to think about how this squad is going to manage the next 4 to 6 games, because they are absolutely crucial 4 to 6 games. At the minute they're in 3rd place, and they played the same amount of games as the 2 teams below them in the playoffs, but you're not ruling out Earlham making a bit of a launch for a playoff place. So there is still that in the equation. So if you're Atherton LR right now, you want a home semi-final in the playoffs. Get Cridley Park packed out and bring a bit of an atmosphere to it.
Well, in order to do that, they've actually got to finish 2nd or 3rd.
Exactly. So they are in a home semi-final position right now.
Away
they want to preserve that. They want to preserve that. Now,
away they would, unless the 5th place team was. If they were to end up playing the 5th team or the 4th team it'd be the semi-final. If they were playing 3rd versus 4th, which Atherton are in currently, if Ramsbottom didn't win their semi-final, then they'd still have a home tie against the 5th place team, which currently is Padding.
Yeah, they might do.
Waffling on a little bit.
There's a lot of what ifs and maybes here, but I think if you're LR, anything that happens right now is can be reasonably deemed a success at the start of the season. But right now, I think they are absolutely wanting to secure the playoffs, secure a home semi-final.
The momentum's there for the playoffs. There's no doubt about that.
Oh God,
The question is, once they've got to that position and they've secured whatever spot it is, whether it's second or third. I mean, because we're technically writing them off. What is it now? They're 5 points behind. Wythenshawe, is it 4 points behind Wythenshawe?
Yeah, they're 4 points behind Wythenshawe, having played a game more. Yeah, absolutely. Now, bear in mind, there's very few of the players in that squad that have managed these kind of heights at this level, but they do know how to grind out, competitive games. Obviously they won the league last season, but they also won which cup did they win now? Was it the Edward? They won the Edward Case Cup. They won the Edward Case Cup last year, so they know how to win knockout games. So that experience may count for an awful lot.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That may count for an awful lot when it comes to playoff time. But I think the other thing to bear in mind is just try and preserve the health and well-being of all the players.
I just remember going neck to neck, toe to toe with Chester in my last season, in my first term as Skelmersdale United football
2011
chairman. Yeah, 2011, and we were absolutely flying. You felt as though nobody could beat you at all, and then because we were pipped on the last day on goal difference by 1 goal.
Yeah,
we went into them semi-finals against AFC Fylde so flat it was unbelievable.
Yeah, but LR don't have that yet. I don't think they're expecting to win the league, and I don't think that they're.
What you said.
Yeah, and I don't think they're fighting hell for leather to try and overhaul Wythenshawe, because at the minute it's completely out of their hands. Yeah. They're relying on Wythenshawe to lose ground over their next 5 games.
But we know they can do that now. Wythenshawe are not as invincible as they were.
No, they weren't
a few weeks ago. They're dropping points here and there.
They are dropping points every so often. I think in their last 6 games, they've drawn 2, won 2, and lost 2. We thought they'd sort of steadied themselves a little bit in the last couple of games, but then that defeat to Remy just shows that, as I say, anybody can beat anybody, but also that Wythenshawe are going to have to work just that little bit harder to stay where they are right now.
Yeah,
but it is still in their hands at the minute.
Definitely. I'm moving on briefly to Bearscough because I do speak to Jayhawks on a regular basis, and they managed to get back to winning ways at the weekend. They beat Barnoldswick 4-2.
Yeah.
Good result for them, and consolidates their position in the top 10. The 4 points. No, tell a lie. They're 1 point ahead of Stockport Town in 11th place. But I think their primary aim now is to win, to stay in that top 10, and obviously win the Macron Cup.
In the Macron Cup.
Possibly can. But listen, we'll go to the bottom of the table because it's really interesting. City of Liverpool's relegation was confirmed following their defeat at the Isle of Man at the weekend.
Yes, it was.
They got off to a flyer when ex-Skem player Alex Priestley scored in the 4th minute. But they ended up losing 3-1. Not that a resurrection was really on the cards, and to add insult to injury, they shipped another 5 goals when they were beaten by Stockport Town 5-0 on Tuesday night. They never conceded 169 goals, and with 3 games to go, they're no doubt edged really close to 200 if they're not careful.
That would require them to concede 10 goals in their last 3 games. It won't happen. But nonetheless, I think it has been a wholeheartedly wretched season for City and Liverpool, and I think what we're seeing here is kind of the relegation that was on paper for several months now. They've only just gone to the bottom of the league, largely owing to Remy's really poor middle of the season period. But otherwise, I think it was on the cards that City and Liverpool were going to go down. So
talking about resurrections, Remeke now in the middle of performing out of the skins. You've waxed lyrical for a few weeks now. As mentioned before, they beat Wythenshawe on Tuesday night by 2-1. Mark Madden notched up the winner in injury time. They're now 6 points drift of Pilks, who failed to register a point in their last 12 games. And it's difficult to see Pilks gaining any points at all before the end of the season.
I think when you look at how wretched Pilks' form has been, so they've conceded 20 goals in their last 6 games, scoring only 3, which is a numerical difference that's only worse off by City of Liverpool. So it's looking very wretched for Pilks.
Well, they've got Padiham, FC St Helens, Wythenshawe and AFC Liverpool during the run-in. That's a tough schedule.
All teams who are in excellent form at the minute. FC St Helens having a bit of a wobble, just 1 win in their last 6 games. But even then, we know FC St Helens, are pretty excellent on their day. And then you've got 2 teams that are chasing promotion, and then 1 team that are third in the in the form standings, with a striker who's just in the form of his life at the minute in Elliot Taylor. So for Pilks, I don't see where they're getting points from. But they're
shipping goals, aren't they?
And they're shipping goals as well. But in Remica, they're unbeaten in their last 4 games, including a win away at the top of the table team. I don't know any of the fixtures that they've got. So they've got Ramsbottom, AFC Liverpool, Atherton LR and Burscough. Conceivably speaking, they could get points in all of those games, just purely on the basis that they've done it already against Rami. AFC Liverpool, I think, pushed them sort of quite far before eventually they triumphed. And Burscough are having a little bit of a wobble of late. Atherton LR's form is imperious, but they're not invincible. So I could see that 6-point gap somewhere in that 4 games being abridged. And if they manage that, they're out, because their goal difference is much, much better.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it?
I've waxed lyrical about Remica and Steve Scott for weeks now. He knows that job isn't done, but he knows that job isn't insurmountable one. He knows that his team can get something from somewhere.
And he will be on the show in 2 weeks' time.
He is, yeah. We've secured him for 2 weeks' time. I cannot wait for that interview. That's going to be amazing.
Well, 2 weeks' time, it'll be the just before the last games of the season.
So we'll know an awful lot more by that time. But let me tell you one thing. If Davy Jones and Atherton LR haven't done as well as they've done this season, Steve Scott gets manager of the season for me.
Yeah,
what he's done in 3 months, it's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. No turnaround has ever been like this before.
He's certainly up for manager of the month, isn't he? But listen, let's move on and congratulate Lewis Byrne for breaking the North West Counties goal scoring record on Tuesday night with his 60th goal of the season.
Absolutely
well
amazing.
Done to that man.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. we've another player who we've said for a while is absolutely in his element here and could easily cut it in the Northern Premier League West. He notched a double for Chadderton on Tuesday night when they beat FC Isle of Man 6-2, which secured him his 59th and 60th goals of the season and consolidated Chadderton's position in the playoffs. They are now in 4th after having been beaten at home to Atherton LR last weekend, when Lewis Byrne actually drew a blank, a very rare blank for him. But now he's back in the goal scoring form and looking to hit top form as Chadderton enter the playoffs, as they surely will.
Brilliant. Let's hit Division 1 North. It's been a really good week for leaders Nelson. They secured a 3-1 win away to Thornton Cleaveys on Saturday. And on Wednesday night, they beat Main Road 4-0. They're now 4 points ahead of second place Droylsden. Droylsden drew at the weekend against Squires Gate. That could be the difference between success and failure for the Bloods. But don't get me wrong, Squires Gate have had a great season as well. So a draw was probably on the balance of things not a bad result, but it's still a stutter going into the stutter. I don't just stutter myself. Going into the last fortnight of the season.
It's a bit of a Droylsden have blinked first kind of thing. But I I would almost say that you would expect that, really. You would expect some kind of wobble. They've just beaten Ashton United in the Manchester County Cup semi-final, so they're now into the final of a regional cup competition with a chance
to put more pressure on them going into the...
Which will put more pressure on them, more pressure on the squad to come good in two parts. Now, they've at least secured a playoff place. I think we're all but certain on that one. Numerically, maybe not, but psychologically speaking, I think they are pretty much there. And although that they have fought Nelson tooth and nail for this, and it is still not a foregone conclusion that they could still snatch promotion with 4 games left to go, they are relying on other teams doing them a favour, and you can't kind of hold on to that too much. So if they can get a home semi-final, which it looks very much like they are doing, I don't think there's any team at that's going to stop them, because they've consistently been the team in the playoffs most of the season. From 3rd down to about 11th, any and all of those teams have been in the playoffs at some point.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it is Nelson's...
Well, listen, Ashton Town, 9th place. They were top of the league at one stage, weren't they?
Well, every team has been top of the league at one stage.
Crawley Clearley's, I think. But listen, so at least they made amends on Tuesday night when they beat Garstang 2-0.
Yes,
I think the only hope for them of applying pressure this weekend is when Nelson are involved in cup action, so Droylsden can close the gap to 1 point. That does put a little bit of pressure on them. So listen, McGull are back in the playoff contentions following a 4-0 win over Garstang at the weekend. That said, as Ashton Town and Bacup 9th and 11th respectively have games in hand on the teams higher up, the playoff positions are still wide open.
They are. I mean, we've said it all season that any team could kind of win the league. We think it's relatively down to 2, but at the minute there are still about 6 or 7 teams within that division that could snatch a playoff place from 3rd down. Yeah, as we say, McGull looked to their imperious best at the weekend as they beat Garstang by 4-0. Nathan Peat scoring 2, and Sam Smith and Will Hoy also getting 1. Decent crowd as well at McGull, 290 turning out to watch that game. McGull were one of those teams that we thought were probably going to be in the mix. I think they've got 3 games left. If they win, I don't know, you want to say 2 of those, then they, I think they've sort of secured it as much as they can.
Secured the spot in the playoffs.
Secured the spot in the playoffs, yeah. Now, like I say, it only takes one result for them to, to drop out completely.
It changes the whole narrative.
It really does.
That top 10 there is just top 11.
Yeah, that top 11.
We're talking about Baker Borough could still break it back into that.
Well, 2 games ago, Darwin were in 3rd, and they looked odds on to secure themselves a playoffs. Really well backed club, some good names in that squad as well. Yeah. Their form just seems to have dropped off a little bit more in the last few games. They lost to MSB Woolton by 2-1. Ex-Skem boy Daniel Venter scoring the opening goal, and a bit of a congratulations to Venter, who was named Player of the Month for
well done to
for March.
Well done to him.
Yeah, well done to Danny. Still going at 40. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting conclusion. Like you said, we're going into the last fortnight of games, and in the league that nobody wants to win. Anybody in the top 11 can still get promoted, which is amazing. At the bottom of the table, Main Road are 8 points adrift to Colne, who are above the safety line, but as we don't know how many teams are going to be reprieved, they still have all to play for, as do Garstang and Ashton Athletic, who sit marginally above them.
So at the minute, Main Road are adrift by 6 points. Against over Garstang and Ashton Athletic, although Ashton have played a game more than both Garstang and Main Road. But at the minute, you sort of feel that Main Road's position at the bottom is it's looking a bit more.
They're going to stay at the bottom.
They're looking to stay at the bottom, and actually the confirmation came out from the Northwest Counties as to which teams have applied for promotion into the Northwest Counties from the feeder leagues next season, and there are at least 3 that could come up into Northwest Counties North. So the FA have got a bit of looking at to do and just see whether First Division North is going to be expanded or whether Main Road succumb to the drop.
Yeah. So moving on to Division 1 South, as you said at the top of the show, one of the teams in the 3 divisions has already secured the league title, and that of course is Runcorn. They managed to beat, spot on. They managed to beat Alsager 6-0 on Tuesday night. They basically had the title in their hands on Saturday, albeit they drew against Cheadle Heath Nomads, but their goal difference was that superior. Nobody was going to affect the outcome of that. But still, listen, they had to do it mathematically, and that's what they did on Tuesday night against Alsager. Yeah. It's been an absolutely fantastic season.
Yeah.
They've for Darren Moore and Liam Page done a fantastic job.
An unbelievable turnaround in the last 18 months when we thought they might get relegated because they were bottom of First Division South, but since this dynamic duo have come in, completely turned it around, and it's seen Runcorn absolutely canter to the league title.
We witnessed how good they were at the beginning of the season when we were battered 9-0.
I wasn't there, but I'll take your word for it.
Listen, you knew then, and that was at the beginning of the season. They were dishing out
Wallopins.
Absolutely amazing. So listen, well done to them.
It'll be very interesting to see how they manage in the Northwest Counties Prem next season. Now that they have officially secured a place at Step 5, and we think are likely to be in Northwest Counties Prem,
in the Northwest Counties,
as opposed to the Midland.
Yeah, we don't know yet, do we? So we'll find out about that, no doubt, rather end of May, middle of June, I don't know. But listen, well done to them. Eccleshall confirmed their spot in the playoff finals with the 2-0 win over Sandbach at the weekend. Although they have a Staffordshire Senior Cup final to contest, I'm sure they'll be keeping an eye on holding home advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they'll want to finish second.
Oh, of course they'll want to finish second. Yeah, as I've said before, the buzzword of this episode is home semi-final. So I think Eccleshall will be absolutely intent on securing home advantage there. Although you would think that they would be reasonably confident, having taken points off all the teams that are currently in and around the playoffs below them, that they could do what Abbey Hulton United did last season and just make it a bit more of a straightforward conclusion. I know football is never straightforward, but Eccleshall will be looking to make it sort of quick and straightforward and secure their passageway into Step 5. A big shout out to them as well, as they beat Stafford Rangers in the Staffordshire Senior Cup semi-final in the middle of the week by 2-1 on what Liam Kelly described as a bare bones squad, but still had the fortitude to beat higher league opposition and make it to a cup final. So a magnificent season for Eccleshall and for Liam Kelly. Very, very well done.
Previous guest on the show? Yeah. At the bottom of the table, Hormond and Alsager propping up the rest in the division.
Yes,
both teams have lost their last 6 games, where Shawbury have managed to muster a draw and a win to give them a 5-point advantage over Alsager, though they played 2 games more. But I still think they've got the momentum, and that's enough for them to...
Who's Shawbury? Absolutely. So Shawbury, obviously managed by Matty Boswell, they beat Wolverhampton Casuals away from home on Tuesday night by 4-1, a double each from Jamie King and Kieran Cooper, securing the spoils for them under the lights. On Saturday, they drew 1-1 with playoff chasing Stockport Georgians. Oliver McFadden scoring his 29th goal of the season, which took a point for the Georgians after Jamie King had opened the scoring for Shawbury to give them a lead. A share of the spoils there, which has done neither of the teams any harm whatsoever. As for Hormond and Alsager, though, even with the withdrawal of Wolverhampton Sporting Community, there's still a lot to fight for in these last 4 games for both teams to ensure they avoid the drop.
Yeah, and moving out to the Northwest Counties, we're looking at the FA Trophy semi-finals.
Yeah.
Heartbreak for both Marine and Southport, who stumbled unfortunately at the final hurdle. But listen, no shame in that. They both hold their heads up very, very high as they took on the might of higher opposition and just fell at the final hurdle.
Yes, so Marine lost in the very, very last second of the game to Wealdstone, and Southport were beaten. It was either 2-1 or 3-1 by Southend. 3-1 by Southend United, having led at half time. As you say, absolute heartbreak for both teams, but for Neil Dans and for crying out loud, what's his name? Why have I forgotten his name now? Who is he? What's his name? The Marine gaffer.
Oh, Bobby Grant?
Bobby Grant. Yeah. Used to play for Scunthorpe. Why do I not know that? Anyway, for Neil Dans and for Bobby Grant, hugely, honourable runs in the FA Trophy, continually showing themselves against higher division opposition, but fell to very seasoned higher non-league teams. And in fact, in Southend we had a team who were in League One not 10 years ago. As you say, really, really difficult for them to stomach, but a wonderful pair of runs all the same. Hangover continued for Marine as they were beaten 2-0 on Tuesday night by league leaders AFC Fylde. No shame in that whatsoever. And they actually host each other this weekend, so it's all down to Hague Avenue as Marine travel to Southport. Going to be an absolute belter. Marine in 13th. Southport in 14th, I think it is.
Just a 4 point advantage there, but Marine have 2 games in hand, so positional bragging rights could be with Marine by the end of the season.
It could very possibly, but I think the most important thing for both of these teams is that neither of them were anywhere near the relegation zone, absolutely, and particularly for Neil Dans. What a magnificent campaign he has led Southport on, and absolutely brilliant. Fair enough.
So listen, it is a bumper weekend because it is Easter, and Marine play Chorley on Bank Holiday Monday, and Southport are away to Cares in Ashton the same day. So it's a magnificent sort of fixture list for the weekend.
It is. So much football going on. Wonderful.
Yeah. Other league news, Prescott Cables. Prescott, we talked about it the last few weeks. They've absolutely been dragged into the relegation zone now, following a 2-1 home defeat to Ilkeston. You felt as though if they were going to they're going to win a game and gather a little bit more momentum, it would have been against them, but they've got now a really tough fixture away to Hensford on Good Friday.
Yeah, Hensford, who
it's not looking good for them, is it?
No, second in the league, third in the league, Hensford, pardon me. It was unfortunate really, but it was Michael Clegg, Hyde United, who secured his team secured the a win against Stockton in a result that actually lifted Hyde out of the relegation zone at the expense of Prescott Cables.
That could be the most important appointment that Hyde have made in a long time.
Very much so. Now, I have absolutely they're only out of the relegation zone on goals scored. Yeah. That's the only thing that's separating Prescott from Hyde. But more crucially, Hyde do have a game in hand on Prescott right now. And there's still 5 games to go in the season. So, there's still plenty to play for at the minute. But
I said it last week, didn't I? Steve Daly, who's the manager of Cables, very passionate guy, obviously loves the football club and everything that he's trying to achieve. But if you look at any interview with the manager, you can see the stress that they're going through.
Yes,
and you can definitely, the stress comes through his face.
Oh yeah,
he must be.
Weight of the world is on his shoulders at the minute.
So listen, good luck to Cables. like I say, they've got a tough fixture
against Hensford.
Hensford, but maybe they can pull something off there and bring a smile back to Steve's face.
You just never know. But
we're with them. We want Prescott Cables to get out of that relegation zone without a shadow of doubt.
There you go. We need, so there'll be something from somewhere for Cables. Yeah. Now, moving on to the Shakers. Bury, they beat Runcorn Linnets to stay top of the league, and they were able to increase that lead to 4 points as Avro were beaten by Bootle by 3-0. We'll obviously be talking to Peter Cartledge, the chairman of the Linnets, in the second part of the show, as it could be two teams from the same town being promoted at the end of the season. How mental would that be? I don't think that's happened since time immemorial, really. No,
and it'll be a good rivalry to have, no doubt.
I think that's going to be a very, very healthy rivalry at the minute. It's one that I really didn't see coming, but with the Linnets sort of being quite decent, exceeding all expectations in Northern Premier League, and then Runcorn Town absolutely imperious in Division 1 South. Like that, that gap between the two teams at the same town closed quite significantly now. Bury are at home to Congleton Town on Good Friday and away to Clitheroe on Bank Holiday. Interestingly enough, Congleton Town made the social media headlines this weekend. Their interview with their chairman, in which he said that it's very difficult for him and his team to make a good, solid financial foundations at this level. And somebody actually said about them on the back of the interviewer saying that teams like Bury are just using financial muscle to get the better of teams. Somebody said, well, Congleton only allocated Bury 200 tickets for the...
You're biting off your nose to spite your face.
Exactly, you're biting off your nose to spite your face. If you're not
did they achieve a full capacity on that game?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh,
well, I mean that's not really good, is it? Maybe we should speak to the chairman of Congleton.
Yeah.
Congleton were always a good Northwest Counties team. They were never much more than that for a long time.
That's interesting.
They're elevated into the Northern Premier League.
That's interesting.
We talk about it all the time about finding your natural level.
Finding your natural level is one of the buzzwords of just the Speaking Frankly football show.
But it is the buzzword of non-league football. Because the sooner people realise what their natural level is, the less.
You're not going to founder, are you?
Well, there won't be as many clubs going to the wall or dropping down the leagues as
or
quick
taking
as they
voluntary relegation.
Ours is totally different in terms of not having a ground. That's
it's not just not having a ground for us. It's a major focal point, but there have been other historical things in the past that have led to us. But naturally speaking, you would think for a standalone town, for a standalone club in a town of 40,000, you would like to think that our natural level is Northern Premier League.
Yeah. Listen, I had the same issues back in the day when we were competing against FC United of Manchester, Chester, Halifax,
Macclesfield.
AFC. No, we did. Well, yeah.
That was later, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was later on,
of course,
as they were sort of coming back up the leagues.
Yeah.
I was always of the opinion that they by their way to success. But you know what? Along the way, they throw a few bob in the coffers. Yeah. I don't know what. I don't know in terms of what financial input the game against Runcorn, what Runcorn achieved in terms of finances when they played Bury at the weekend. Because I think they had a 1,570 gate or something.
So that's 1,500 people in there, and it's all ticketed as well. So you've got season ticket.
I think that players should pay for maybe the last month of their season. I'd like to think it does.
Yeah,
and they've had a couple of gates like that.
Yeah, they have.
So
but anyway,
you can't really moan about having. I did. And I regret it, but I don't know how young Mr. Congleton is, but the chairman of Congleton is. Yeah. But it's the kind of thing I would have said back in the day when I had less maturity.
Yeah, exactly. So we learn even at Frank's age. But anyway, Bury are at home to Congleton Town on Good Friday and away to Clitheroe on the Easter Monday. Now we'll move to Lower Breck. With just 1 point taken out of the last 3 games, Breck beat Atherton Collieries 4-0 at home. They're level with Vauxhall, but just outside of the playoff playoff places with an inferior goal difference. And with Linnets losing against Bury, they're just 1 point behind them. Lower Breck are away at Kidsgrove Athletic on Good Friday, and then at home to Vauxhall Motors on the Monday. You should imagine at this point that that's a bit of a 6-pointer. That game against
without a shadow of
Motors,
doubt. They could switch places just based on that game.
Yeah, they could. So all you need to do for Vauxhall Motors is to stop Kevin Ellison.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to do. Just stop the 47-year-old from scoring goals, and
take his Zimmer frame off him.
Exactly.
Just take sorted.
He's just different.
He's just a different animal, isn't he? He's a different beast altogether.
Yeah, he is. Now, Clitheroe, a very creditable 0-0 draw with long unbeaten Mosley. They face Sporting Khalsa on the Good Friday, and as we've said earlier, they face Bury on the Easter Monday, as mentioned before. It's been a very topsy-turvy season for Sean McConville. I think he'll just want to finish the season with his head held high. They've had players going, players injured, players out for this, that and the other. I think they just want to take as much dignity out of the last few games as possible. And
as much as I love Clitheroe and I've been there time and time again,
I want to go.
We'll go.
No.
We'll try and go before the end of the season if we can.
Right. Yeah.
If there's a midweek game, let's try and catch it, because it's got a charm of its own. But I will maintain that when we're talking about natural levels, I think that's it for Clitheroe. I think if they go a division higher than that, there's going to have to be some huge transformation. They've already struggled with finances. It's been proven with Prescott.
Yeah.
They've had to chop and change the budgets.
Yeah.
Clitheroe have done it as well.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
They can rebuild for next season, and maybe some of that FA Trophy money will be there. And those resources will be available for next season. But it's a very tough league to compete in.
It's a horrifying, difficult league to compete in, but Clitheroe are doing what they can right now. As mentioned, Bootle beat Avro by 3-0 at Avro on Saturday. Still 7 points adrift of the playoffs, where at one point we thought they might steal a march on Vauxhall and Linnets and Lower Breck, but that dream seems to have faded just a little bit now. They're definitely having a say in where the title race is heading, though, which I think is a little bit like spoiling the brew when you've not been invited to the party, really.
And who have they got this weekend?
Who Bootle got?
Yeah.
That is a great question, and one that I'll try and answer for you in the next 30 seconds. So if you're listening to the show, just talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Listen, it's been a great season for Bootle. I think they've struggled probably with their pitch, being a hybrid pitch. We know they're getting that dug up at the end of the season and getting it replaced with the 4G, which will be better for them long term. I don't know whether that's had a significant factor in their form, but playing on a hybrid pitch when it's at the end of its life is going to be difficult.
It's going to be very, very difficult, yeah, and I think it's just another emphasis why hybrid pitches aren't really catching on, are they? No. Anyway, Bootle host Darlaston on the Saturday in a game that they'll feel slightly confident that they're going to win, but then they've got another chance to spoil the brew on Easter Monday when they visit Runcorn Linnets. Yet another twist in the tale caused by Bootle. How hysterical they're going to find this. And then next Saturday, the 11th of April, they visit Clitheroe. Now then.
Yeah, listen, good luck to all of those teams competing in the Northwest Counties.
Yes, quite so.
The Northern Premier League, etc.
We tip your hat.
And of course, Marine and Southport, best of luck to them.
100%.
But listen, we move on to the controversial corner. And we're looking at drills, and once again, they've been charged by the FA. As items have been thrown onto the pitch during the game. This, of course, is more likely to happen with bigger crowds. As we know, Drillsden are very well supported.
Yes.
The latest incident occurred during their semi-final against Ashton United in the Manchester Cup.
Yeah.
But the repercussions of the actions, that largely by the minority, is that they're going to end up with heavy fines or playing behind closed doors, which will have a huge impact on their finances.
Massive.
So from Dave Pace's perspective, he must be pulling his hair out. He's not only the owner and the chairman, but he's also the manager. And when you dedicate yourself as much as he does to the club, this is a pain in the arse. The man just doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't. So Dave Pace, as you say, owner, chairman and manager, so he's got to deal
And a
with
top
all
bloke as well.
Yeah, he's got to deal with all the financial fallouts of any misbehaviour like this. So if he has a fine, that's one thing, but then to lose the possibility of having 400 plus inside the butcher's arms, that's something that he will really find challenging. I've no doubt that it'll not send Droylsden into receivership and foreclosure, but nonetheless it's absolutely ridiculous that we're still having to remind fully grown men to not behave like teenagers.
And the thing, of course, is that there's going to be a significant cost towards the club, because now he's going to have to tighten things up in terms of stewards, which will cost him more money. But you still can't predict what a crank is going to do, can you?
No, you can't. No, I think you've always got to hope and pray that they'll be on their best behaviour, just to minimise the risk that it puts stewards under, and then also other fans and players as well. But even at this level, I think people take non-league football way too seriously, that they think that they've got to make a bit of a thuggish chest beater move out of it.
You know what? It's a question that I've been long going to ask, thinking about it now. But in terms of, we know at non-league level that you can actually take beer out onto the terraces, which means that you can drink right through before the game and right through it. Do you think that's having a significant impact? Because we're hearing a lot more abusive language, racist, misogynistic behaviour, and fighting, as well as throwing articles onto the pitch. Do you think there's going to come a stage where the FA are going to have to turn around and say, well, we're going to have to restrict when you can drink out on the football matches, or are we going to restrict it to the size of the gates? Because, like I say, it only takes one crank to cause mayhem, and it doesn't matter whether you've got 100 on there and one person absolutely, pissed out of his brains, throws a bottle or throws whatever on the pitch, aimed at a player, and then you've got chaos.
Yeah, you do. I don't think that's going to be something that happens for a while. I think it's got to get seriously out of control. At the minute, I think they'd probably look at this as being isolated incidents. There's not.
They're not, though.
I know they're not. I know they're not, and you know they're not.
I think what's more likely to happen is that something's got to be done strong about this. Something's got to be implemented where it's less likely to happen. But as I say, you can't predict what a crank is going to do. But I think the whole idea of introducing alcohol onto the terraces at lower league football was to help with their finances.
Yeah, of course.
But this is it's flipped the other side now, the other way, isn't it? Where it's costing them money.
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things.
I don't know what kind of fine he's going to get.
No, I don't.
I don't know how much more it's going to cost him in stewarding.
No. It'll be interesting to actually ask him what the financial repercussions are for.
I would imagine you could get your drinks license taken off you as well if that kind of behaviour.
It may be under viewership or warning, or it may even be that the drinks license is reduced to only serving alcohol between certain times.
Anyway, listen, book your ideas up at the.
For God's sake, just stop being little kids about it. You're fully grown.
Support your team the best way you can without throwing silly objects onto the pitch.
Exactly. Yeah. Now then, youth football. So that's going to change next season, and with a bit of controversy behind it. So, in the 26-27 season, England football is implementing future fit changes to grassroots youth football, centering on smaller, more frequent, and age-appropriate formats. Key changes include a 3-against-3 formation for under-7s to increase engagement, shifting to 11v11 at under-14s. So it goes to 11v11 at under-12s currently. And phasing out heading at under-11s, and updated laws to increase ball in play time. As well as actually removing a goalkeeper, players playing with no substitutes, and matchday squads generally recommended to be between 6 and 12, obviously depending on age range. This is a bit mental, and it all seems a little bit too much. It's going to be really hard to implement. Their kids are crammed on smaller pitches already as football becomes more and more diluted. Less football is being played on grass, and it's being played more on artificial, 4G AstroTurf substances, which puts more pressure on football organisations and local councils to fund such pitches, which we know from personal experience are not cheap whatsoever. I think the wider concept is largely kind of well received. I don't necessarily agree with the removal of the goalkeeper, although I do agree with the heading restrictions. We've seen an awful lot of the investigations going on into CTE as a result of heading the ball, back in the 1960s and 70s gameplay. Frank, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I've looked at it and I just feel as though the rules... I just think the rules are overtaking football. I think there's too many rules.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme, isn't it?
Well, Andy Barlow and I talked about it today, and we back in the day, you just went out to enjoy football and play it.
Yeah.
It's like the enjoyment has gone out of football. If I'm a 7-year-old and I'm playing 3v3, there's no referee or no officials. Is it managed by the parents? I don't know what they do.
I don't know what they do.
So what happens when the ball goes out and it's on the other team's or the other pitch?
Well, the game will have to stop, or they'll somebody.
I don't understand enough. I don't understand enough about it. But what I will say is that when you've got clubs running 4, 5, 6 teams in the same age category, there's not enough. We already know now in West Lancashire there's not enough 3G, 4G pitches to sustain grassroots football to keep them playing on there.
Yeah.
So I think this puts even bigger restrictions on them. This makes it more difficult for them. But I think, listen, we're going to go through these key changes in football forever and a day, because some smart arse comes up and thinks they can do things slightly better.
Yeah, they can, and I think to some degree there is some kind of evidence to say that they are. As I say, I think the heading restrictions are a good idea, but I think when you actually change the fundamental rules of the sport, I think that's when things become much more clouded, because then you're having to rely on a player's natural adaptation and understanding of the game of football at the professional and adult level.
But they don't like the word competitive, do they? Up until, what is it, under 11s, is it, before you actually play league-based format?
Oh, that just sounds daft. I was playing league-based format when I was in under 9s.
I know, but
10s.
that just shows you how quickly it's gone awry. It's changed so quickly. It's the idea that you can't have a competitive football match until the point probably where you're going to fall out with football.
Yeah.
Everybody loves football when they're a kid. When they begin to learn how to kick a football around and they join a football team, they love it. But then when they get to teenage ages, they discover girls and other things like PlayStations. They change, don't they? And then you have less people playing at that level.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely flooded at the younger level,
the kid level,
and by that point they're not playing competitive football, and then they go into academies and playing academy style football. We're not developing enough talent, in my opinion.
No, there's a gap in the transition phase, isn't there?
We're not developing enough talent, but fundamentally, football should be there for everybody to enjoy. Understand that. I just don't understand why we have to take the competitive edge out of it.
Oh, I don't.
We're making it worse by
I know.
doing that.
Our team was always, when I was in junior football over in Scunthorpe, we had leagues at under 11s, and that was my favourite season. So it was the last season we played 7-a-side before we then moved into full 11. And we had leagues, and we had points based systems. Scores were taken into account, goal difference, all of that kind of carry on was taken into account, and I loved monitoring the team's progress up the table, and monitoring my own progress, I managed to score quite a few goals that season. All of that was registered. So I think there is, and I get really upset if we lost, like particularly if we lost to Derby, to the local team, by 4-3, and I was really upset by the end of it. I was only 10, but like that kind of seriousness within the sport is not a bad thing, because I think it prepares you for kind of the disappointment of sport that sport brings.
Well, we're too worried about what the psychological effect is going to be on people. So listen, the entry level moves from 3-a-side to 3-a-side from 5-a-side. So that means that as diluted as football is now, the amount of constructive football teams, you get to a position now where there's less. We know there's a shortage of 3 and 4G pitches. So if you reduce the numbers into that, are the pitch sizes going to be smaller?
I would think they would have to be, really. There's a whole difference between 3-a-side and 5-a-side for both teams. You've got an awful lot more ground to cover, unless they're shortening out the length of time that a game is being played in order to compensate for that. So instead of it being, 15 minutes each way, it's 10. And then you have more roll-on and roll-off teams and squads playing. I
have to say, listen, I don't understand enough about it to comment really honestly about it, but I just think...
We should ask somebody.
Yeah, I just think, again, like football's changed so much over the last sort of 10 years.
Yeah.
It's not all for the...
No, it's not for the greater good. I think there's a reason why England are winning competitions still. But even more so, I think there's a reason why English football is not dominating European competition like it used to. So if anybody from Future Fit wants to come on the show and explain themselves, please let us know.
Yeah. Moving on now, we're going to sort of wind up the first part of the show.
Certainly are.
In the second part of the show, we're going to have Peter Cartledge, who's the chairman of Runcorn Linnets, on the show. So we're looking forward to speaking to him. We'll speak to you after the break. Hello and welcome to the second part of the Speaking Frankly football show, and a very warm welcome to Peter Cartledge, who's the chairman of Runcorn Linnets, who are currently doing extremely well in the Northern Premier League West. Hi Peter, listen, thanks very much for joining the show.
Hi Frank, and thank you very much for inviting me. It is a privilege to be here, and obviously having an opportunity to talk to you today, so thank you.
Yeah, listen, nobody's ever said that before. So
that's really cool. Thanks, Peter.
we don't know what they say when they get off the show, but they certainly not said it before the show.
I think they probably breathe a sigh of relief, in fairness, because it is quite in depth, and I think it can be a little bit intense at times. Peter,
I'm used to doing interviews, so it's not like I've done quite a few sort of bits and bobs, and when we've brought managers in and stuff like that, so I'm pretty well accustomed to it, so it's fine. So feel free to ask me whatever you want, as long as it's not rude or illegal for your viewers, of course, or your listeners. Sorry.
Well, listen, our opening question, we've sort of changed a little bit of stance where we open our, because we think it might sort of help somewhere in the interview. So far it's proved to be pretty fruitless, but we'll still ask the question. So if you look at football as both a gift and a challenge, what has it given to you, Peter, but equally what has it taken away from you?
So it's taken away a lot of time, but it's given a lot of fantastic memories, both as a fan of Runcorn Linnets, and as the chairman for the last 4 years. So it's given me, it's been really rewarding. And it's also taken probably quite a lot of money off me as well over the years. But I would say that the positives outweigh the negatives. I'm still enjoying it. You wouldn't think that sometimes, but I am still enjoying it.
Yeah, people won't see this sort of side of it, because when we go, as a chairman of a football club, you don't automatically go into a football club, particularly if your pockets are not as deep as some of these richer guys. You don't go into football thinking that you're going to part way with your own cash. But once you get to the dizzy heights of being a chairman of a football club, if there's a bill to pay and the club's struggling, or it needs a little bit more sponsorship, needs to be stacked up, there needs to be new training gear or whatever, sometimes you just can't help yourself. You end up, you can't just leave the club high and dry, can you?
No, absolutely not, Frank. And I think, I'm very fortunate to have, I might be the chairman, but it's never been about me. We've got a fantastic team at Runcorn who, support the club and help the club to progress at, every single day. And it is very much a 7-day operation. It's not just something that, everyone just turns up on a Saturday or a Tuesday night and everything's okay. It just doesn't work like that. It is very much an opportunity to give back a bit and give a little bit back to the local community and everything else. It's honestly it is. It's you try your best, don't you, to do what you can for your local club, and I think it makes it better. When I'm from Runcorn, born and bred there, and it's always nice that you're involved with a club that's the heart of the local community. I think that sort of means a lot to me as well.
But going back to what you were saying about what it's taken away from you, obviously the time element of it and a little bit of money here and there as well. Psychologically, what kind of damage does that kind of does it do to you? Because it does. You feel every bump, don't you? And every
it's tough, and I think you if I put myself back to when I was a fan, and sort of put myself in the position where I am now, the feelings were very different and the priorities are very different in terms of, as a fan, you just turn up, pay your money and go home. You have a laugh with your mates or whatever else. But when you're the chairman, you've got all of the baggage that goes with it. So it's not just about the football team. It's about the operation that goes with running a match day, or making sure that bills are paid, or making sure that HMRC are paid, making sure players and staff are paid on time. Everything that goes with it. So from a psychological perspective, I was quite fortunate in that the job I've got, I've got a lot of these skills. So I think communication is really important in it. So when you're sort of addressing like the what it does to you sort of mentally and psychologically, you try and you're sort of sharing that burden rather than it being just all on your shoulders, but you can't help but hold some of that on your own shoulders, because ultimately you're responsible. If anything happens, the police end up coming, or anyone else, that they're gonna come to me, and you sometimes it's tough. You struggle. And,
listen, could I just say and apologise to listeners right now, because there is a little bit of sort of break up in the.
My apologies.
Yeah, there's just listen. It could be on our end, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm just letting them know that there is.
It's all right. I've moved. My son was just a bit upset downstairs, so I didn't want you to be hearing that.
Bless him.
Listen, it's okay. I've got a similar problem here at home as well.
Yeah.
It does get quite rowdy at times, even though we're locked away in a little dining room away from it all. But yeah, listen, going back to what you were saying about the cycle, we all, I think as chairman, we try to sort of portray a positive attitude, and we pump the chest out and we put the shoulders back, and we say we're Teflon coated, but ultimately, as much as we say that, there is a chink in everybody's armour.
Yeah, and I think what does help is the sort of relationship that I've built with other chairmen of other football teams. Certainly at our level above, counties, wherever it is. I've got some really good friends that, people now who I speak to who are considered friends in football, who are always there to sort of lend an ear if you need that. And, because certainly when I started doing this, even though I was good from a leadership perspective, I was I'm used to working. I've worked I've worked in local government for 25 years, which is massively different than managing a sort of team of volunteers in a business. So it was really quite a big adjustment from that perspective. I probably expected a little bit too much of people, and my standards were really high. And I struggled with that at first because I probably expected a lot more of people, and obviously I wasn't out with those people, if you like. So that's pretty much where we're at. I think it's tough, but you just have to adapt. And get,
I know we reached out to each other a couple of years ago, didn't we? Because I was very aware of the fact that there's not like you have with the managers or the referees. They all seem to be on these big WhatsApp groups, and they talk to each other on a regular basis. And if there's a problem to be sorted, they can share their feelings. That was what I was trying to do a couple of years ago. It hasn't got quite off the ground, but what I've noticed, depending which league you're bouncing into or out of, there's a lot of chairmen that don't really want to share anything about their football clubs, and they don't want to help with their experiences and help the people that are coming through. Like you say, you've been about 4 years as chairman now. When you started out 4 years ago, you'd have been very sort of new to it all, and you would have loved to have reached out to someone to give you that bit more guidance. It still doesn't seem to be happening much. That, like you say, you've got to make your friends, but it takes a long time.
Yeah, you have got to make your friends. I mean, I know some great people who I've met through football, and teams that we play against, for 90 minutes where we're sort of adversaries, but you're off the pitch and away from that, they couldn't be more welcoming when you go to them, and the same when you come to us. And we've spoke about things away from the football club, and to make sure everything's okay. And I consider I'm really good friends with John Gold from that, Dave from Bootle, with loads of sort of different people from different clubs, but again, you've always got people to go to if you need them. Steve from Mossley, all of these guys are, they'd be there for you. As soon as you put something on Twitter, they're texting you, or they're in touch, and everything okay and all of that stuff. And I don't think it's a difficult one, because unless you've actually done this role, you don't know you don't know how to do it. You don't know what it's like. You don't know the pressures and the challenges that you've got. And when you're doing it as a volunteer, I don't think we're helped sometimes by the sort of laws of the game, and the people who run the competitions and stuff. And we're maybe put under a little bit more pressure than maybe we need to, because things have got to be done properly or whatever. But I think sometimes people forget that our football clubs are being run by volunteers.
Yeah, I felt very much like that until we dropped down into the Liverpool County Prem, and then I realised that some of the strict policy of the Northwest Counties, I realised how very well run it was, but only when I left it. To be honest with you, and I could have called a lot of people
100%.
fit to burn, but I think you learn a lot when you drop a level or two. That what they're trying to achieve is to make that model as professional as they can. Which, listen, is a good segue really to go into where you started, how you started out in football, and what your connection was with the Linnets. But before you answer that, how old are you?
I'm 45.
You're 45.
No, I'm 44. I'm 45 this year.
So you're relatively a young man, but so.
I'm a relatively young man. Yeah. Well, I don't feel like that sometimes, mate. I think the football club's aged me quite a bit in the last few years. But,
100%.
When I first started out, I was 38. I think when I was chairman of Skelmersdale United the first time round, by the time 5 years later, I felt like a 65-year-old. God knows what age you feel now. But so listen, how did it start for you, your journey in football?
Football, so I played football when I was... started playing football from 4 or 5 maybe. I really used to love playing. Played for a couple of teams in Runcorn. I actually played at Wembley before Runcorn FC played in the FA Trophy final in 1993, I think it was, when we played Wycombe Wanderers. I actually played at Wembley. I was actually all right. I was quite decent when I was younger. But
so who did you play for then? You played for Runcorn?
I played for Peewit Hall. Peewit Hall FC. And I played for, who else did I play? Western Point, Runcorn Villa for a little bit.
But where at Wembley? Who were you playing for when you played at Wembley?
Peewit Hall. I played for Peewit Hall at Wembley. So it was just like a couple of teams from Runcorn got to play. So I was in Halton Sports, they were called, who ironically used to play where our ground is now at Linnets.
Yeah.
And a couple of teams from Wycombe played as well. I do often bring the programme that I've got in the office from that game out and show people who are very bored by the story, by the way. But I bring it out and show them, because my name's actually on the programme. I mean, and edges were being advertised on the back of it, and like all sorts of stuff. But you know, I'm proud of that, and it was a good experience. So after that, I sort of stopped. Carried on playing until I was about 16, and then obviously life sort of took a little bit of a different turn. Used to watch footy, still enjoyed it, still enjoyed watching it. My dad was really interested in Runcorn, used to go watching Runcorn all over the place, and obviously the old club ceased to exist, and then, you know, the new club was formed, and I started watching Linnets again in about 13 years ago. I went up, my dad was like, come up and have a look at the new ground, and, you know, have a look at the club or whatever, and I went up there, and, you know, I really sort of started to enjoy it. You know, I really, you know, met a few lads up there who I didn't know, and you know, we sort of got to be friends, and we were going to all the games, we were going home and away and everything else, and, you know, them lads were like lads who I sort of consider some of my best friends now, and which was lovely to sort of meet people through football. I then obviously offered some support to the club, because they were struggling with some of their IT, and I was senior IT project manager, so I was able to sort of offer some skills to the club. So joined the board, and then things didn't work out. The board decided to sack Ello, and I didn't agree with it, so I decided it was time to sort of leave. Then after a sort of couple of years, I was running a supporters group, and after a couple of years, me and a few of the lads were like, you know what, let's get involved again, and, you know, we believe that, you know, we can
change the club within rather than away.
We can run the club. Yeah, we can run the club. And I think, so I got back involved. We rejoined the board. Renz was the chairman at the time, and you know, he was having some personal difficulties, and the guys on the board, lads and ladies, were like, mate, I was vice chairman at the time and the secretary, and they were like, you need to take over. You know, we'll back you to be chairman and all this stuff. I was like, mate, I don't want to be the chairman. Like, I don't want to be the chairman. I don't want to be the chairman. Like, what? Don't. And then I went home and spoke to my wife, and Katie was like, nah, you need to, you because if you don't, something bad will happen to the club, and you couldn't live with yourself if that happened. And she's always backed me. I mean, like, I couldn't have a better support than from my wife, and, you know, she's always been sort of supportive like that. So
sounds like we've both gone down a similar path, because when I come back the second time, I didn't want to come back to the club then, and in between those years, I became a little bit critical of the way the football seemed to be run at the time. So I've come full circle. But talking about the old Runcorn. The new Runcorn Linnets were formed when the old Runcorn was still in existence. Is that right?
No, this old club ceased to exist, and the new club formed out of as a sort of phoenix from fans of the old club. Sort of decided to sort of get together and start a sort of, you know, start a fan-owned model. So the old club ceased to exist. There's no sort of dual running or anything like that. It was literally a case of some of our brilliant fans got together and said, you know what, we need to form something here and start again. And we started from what? We started from counties level, and we're sort of close to. We're as close as we're going to get to getting into. We're as close as we're going to get to getting into the Northern Prem now, and it's been a.
You're still breaking up there. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, mate. So it's probably where. Sorry, I'm just. Yeah. No problem. Yeah, are you there? Is everything okay?
Yeah, we're still.
Yeah, good stuff.
We're still going.
Stuff.
Yeah. So listen, you've obviously mentioned that the football club started up, and it's very much seen as a Phoenix club. But I think we mentioned off mic before that it's very much a community sort of interest, sort of trust type of club, and I've always been sceptical about those kind of setups. So I wanted to ask the question: how does it affect decision making? Is it harder to push through policies, or do you have a certain degree of independence in terms of decision making?
So the board we've got members. We have a members group. So we've got about 200 odd members who are pay the money to be a member each year and ultimately have a vote. They then delegate responsibility for running the football club to the board, of which I am on the board, of course, but I'm one of 12 individuals who were voted on by our members to run the football club. Obviously with statutory responsibilities of chairman, vice chairman, treasurer, stuff like that, but decision making isn't an issue. Finance, because we don't have a big money backer. We don't have people pumping money in. So everything we do is based on what we've built ourselves, and through sponsorship, through match day revenue, through other ways of making money, through darts teams at the club, through hiring the clubhouse out for events and stuff like that, hiring the ground out and everything else. We're going through a process at the moment to potentially get paddle courts on at the football club as well, which again is something that's obviously subject to local authority approval. But we're working with a fantastic company who are looking to invest their money in putting paddle courts on our site to potentially improve and sort of increase not just our revenue but to give back to the local community. And I think that's really, really important. So we're always on the lookout for making money, trying to do things differently, trying to cut costs, trying to make the club as sustainable as it can, but putting on making money so we can put the best football team out on the pitch. And that's the most important thing, because the football team is what's going to bring us money in and allow us to progress. We just need as many revenue streams as we possibly can, which is what we've been working on. We've got a fantastic commercial manager. We've got a fantastic commercial team who really sort of work hard to progress and to give to get the club as much money as possible. We physically more. Do we need investment? Would we benefit from someone pumping money in? Absolutely.
We all would.
Have we found someone? No, we've not. We haven't found anybody who's our sponsors. We got fantastic sponsors. All of those the people that put money into our football club, whether it's 10 quid or whether it's thousands that some of them put into sponsor stands or grounds or anything else that they're doing. All of that stuff, is really important. So, would having someone putting money in take some pressure off? Absolutely.
Well, can I just mention something there? Because we did a show with Steve Hobson, who's the vice chairman of Ashton.
I know Steve.
Ashton United.
Really well, yeah.
Lovely guy.
Great bloke. And basically what they did, they did a Dragon's Den sort of thing on Twitter, didn't they? And asked for investors. And
they did, yeah.
after doing that, they were quite fortunate to bring one or two people in with a bit of money. Is it a bit of a worry though when you do bring somebody in with deeper pockets that it's a short-term gain and it brings more problems?
No is the answer to that, because what I'd do is I'd want people to put money in who were invested in the asset. So I'd want them to put money in and say, right, build us a stand or build us a porta cabin, or put something in the ground that's going to benefit us. They'll benefit, obviously, if it's a company. And it may be that just someone's just feeling generous who's actually got a load of money who wants to put some money in. I think we would never want investment to be pumping money into unless there was some sort of guarantee that they weren't, we had some sort of contract drawn up or something that they were doing it. You wouldn't want that to happen. We will be looking at whatever investment that comes in is about building our assets up and making the football club, to have something sustainable for the future. So, one, they've got something tangible to show for it. They've put money in. They've got a stand, or they've got something to show for it, or they've got we're potentially looking at a project to start looking at a 3G on the ground, and we'll be potentially looking at doing that. And it's about getting investment through those type of things that are going to allow us to be sustainable for the future, and not just doing it for, as you said, Frank, because I agree with you, by the way, that it could potentially be like a short-term thing, and you wouldn't want that, because what happens when they pull the money out? There's football clubs out there where that's happened.
I think what we found with a lot of people that have got money, that they don't want to just come in and invest in stands. Yes, they'll do that, but ultimately it becomes a bit of a plaything for them, and they want to pump money into the team. And as has often happened with many teams, once they get fed up of pumping that money in, and there's no guarantee of success even when you throw money at it, and when they realise that there isn't ultimate success all the time, then they pull the plug on that. But you were going to say, AJ, sorry.
I think in terms of managing the budget and managing the expectations of Linnets, Peter, I think one of I would imagine one of the first things that you look at pre-season is the budget for the playing squad. So we had Trevor Abraham on a few weeks ago, who's the chairman at Cone, and he said that he looks at his budget, looks at what he could possibly put in, and then reduces that percentage by an amount or something. Do you have a similar tactic? Do you try and keep us relatively conservative in terms of budget allocation for the squad?
That's a fantastic question. I think so. All of our modelling, all of our financial modelling and data. So everything that we're sort of running through the football club all comes from our accounting system. So any forecasting that we're doing is pretty accurate in terms of what's actually happened. I think the previous season or the previous seasons, I think the problem that we've got is football doesn't work like non-league football doesn't work like that. So you can do all the forecasting in the world for a budget, but come November, December, and January, when games are getting called off, it just goes out the window.
Yeah.
Because you've got all of that stuff going on. So what we try and do is we try and reserve it. I think to be as reserved as we possibly can. But this time, we gave the manager the biggest budget that a manager's ever had. And there are obvious risks with that, because you're giving. You're giving something that is going to be potentially put you under pressure.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you've also got to appease your supporters, because you need to make sure you're putting the best football team out on the pitch.
Of course you are, yeah. So with
other football clubs that have got budgets that are about, I'm not, because I speak to other football clubs. I'm not going to go into financial detail, but we are competing. We're fourth in the Northern Premier League, competing with clubs that have got budgets probably 2, 3, 4 times the size of ours.
It's incredible.
On the weekly. So we're dealing with that side of things. Players aren't coming to Runcorn sometimes for money. they're coming to play for our football club. So that means a lot to me. You know, we've had lads there who've been there for 5 years now who just want to play for Linnets, probably finish their careers at Linnets simply because they don't want to play for another team. Because of how our club's run, because of everything else that you get and how we look after people. We can't compete with football clubs that have got, unlimited cash. It just doesn't work like that at Runcorn. We've got to entice them in with other things, and a lot of that is dependent on the facilities that we've got. You know, we have got really good facilities. We've got really good opportunities, a good pitch. Good fan base, and all of those things tick boxes for players. It's not always about money, and I think you get a better player when it isn't just about money. I'm not going to lie. I think you get better players in when it's not just about money.
I think you're about spot on there, to be honest. And in fact, you gave your biggest budget was allocated to the manager, who's obviously at the time it was Brad Cook. Was it a bit of a surprise to you when he decided to step down during the middle of the season?
Absolutely. It was a surprise, but Brad handled it with ultimate professionalism, and the way that he handled that whole situation, I think he needs to take a lot of credit for. And sometimes, when not just in football but in other things, if your heart isn't in it and you're not, you don't want to do it, then sometimes people need to have balls and do what Brad did, because I think he handled it brilliantly, and I think it was strange. It was a strange start in football. Normally, when you're getting a new manager and you're sacking an old one, or your manager's left, and that's what had happened to us previously. It was never where a manager had come and said halfway through the season, I'm not, my heart's not in it, go out and get Ello. And I think it was surprising for Ello as well, because he was like, this is a bit strange, this is a bit weird, a bit of a weird, but you know what? It really helped the transition, and that transition, because of the way Brad and Ella were together, they'd spoke on the phone, they'd had, a really good conversation about, how they were going to transition, how they were going to, move from one manager to another, how they were going to, Brad was giving loads of insight about the players and everything. So from that perspective, it was weird, it was strange, but
it would probably be, in many ways, it would have been everything that you wanted. I'm just sorry to interrupt there. In many ways, it would have been good for you to have Michael back, because you didn't really want him to go in the first place.
No, I love Ello. And Ello's, and I tell him all the time, it's not just this isn't just about, it's about anything else. Ello, there's unfinished business, and I think I didn't get the chance to work with Ello as the chairman. And this time I have, and you know what? He's been an absolute breath of fresh air. He's been great. I love his passion. I love his tenacity and what he brings to the table. He's totally different in personality to Brad, and I love Brad. Brad's a great guy. That side of things. Everything was left on really, really good terms with Brad, but. Ello is a different manager, different manager, different team, but he's got the pedigree, hasn't he? He won the league with Widnes last season, competing against Hensford, who have got an unlimited amount of money, because they've got someone putting money in who's a multi-millionaire, so have absolutely got that backing. So he weren't. Ello spoke to me about Widnes, about how things sort of played out there, and he just wanted a crack at step 3. He'd earned his, him, Lorty, Biggs, and Ryan had earned that, their crack at step 3. He's got unfinished business at Runcorn, as Ello said before he came in. This is an opportunity that he wouldn't normally have gone for mid-season. He probably would have waited until after the season had finished and then started afresh from the pre-season and moving forward. But again,
it must have been difficult for Ello, really, because he, like you say, he's gone from a very, very successful team. They've managed to get them promoted, and then obviously they've not taken their allocation up. he's in limbo then for half a season. Is he? I mean, you've obviously spoken to him at length since then. How is he feeling at that point? Is he feeling as though the opportunity to get a job is slipping away? Because that was a huge gap, wasn't it? It's a huge gap out of football. 6 months out of football is a long time.
It is, but he's not been out of football. He's been at every. I've seen him at so many. I've seen him at loads of games. He's been keeping an eye on things. He's always got his eye in. He's always keeping an eye on where players are and his contacts. And I think what helped is we'd signed a few. Continuity was there in terms of Millsy, Steely, and Matty Rain were already at Runcorn, so they'd moved across to us, and that transition was easy. And most of the players that play for us from us at some point for Witness or for City of Liverpool. So there's he's 6 months is a long time in football, I agree, and a lot can happen, and it did happen for us this season. But I actually think that he's been right at it behind the scenes. He just wanted the right opportunity, and I was grateful. Yeah. I could have just said to us, what, guys? No, I'm not. I don't. I'm not interested. It's not the right time. But because there's unfinished business there, because we, myself and Jeff, our vice chairman, had gone to Ello and had a good conversation with him, and Ello was like, guys, I love Runcorn both as a player and as a manager. There's no bad blood there. Club's a different club now than the one he left in terms of its size, so it's different people running it, much more professional, ready to play at a higher level. He just thought it was the right time. So I think the timing was just about. There were difficult circumstances to manage that for Brad leaving because I didn't want him to leave, and I'd never say I did because I didn't. Him and Robin and their team were great. I love working with them.
Well, listen, fate has obviously played a big part in it, and since he's come back, he's lifted you from 9th position into a really strong position in the playoffs. So how optimistic are you with the management team now and going potentially into the playoffs? Are you feeling confident?
No, I'm never confident, Frank, because we've been there, done that, and not bought the T-shirt. Yeah. So I think that we've got to be mindful and acutely aware that the playoffs are a lottery. What I think that it's maybe a little bit different this time is that we're coming at it from a different place in terms of there's not that much pressure as much this time as maybe previously, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't know whether that's a good thing or maybe not so much, but I don't feel like it there's that much expect. I don't know whether that's just me, whether that's just how I'm dealing with it personally. Maybe I'm battle scarred from the previous times, but look, I'm optimistic that we'll continue in the playoffs and we'll get there. We've got an opportunity starting tomorrow to put Saturday behind us and put it sort of move forward from that perspective. I think if we continue to get some good results now, the bad games that the teams at the top of the league, we've played them all now, and I think it's about trying to continue to get some points on the board and hope that the others slip up, and then hopefully secure either second or third spot and have a home tie in the semi-final. That's got to be the aim, because those semi-final ties give us a significant amount of revenue, and transformational for us, I think, over the summer, which, it had really put us in a good place for next season.
Aye. Last Saturday's game, obviously, as you say, didn't go as planned, but the sellout against Bury likely brought in a big sum of money for the club's coffers. I think it was the second highest attendance this season after the cup qualifying round in the FA Cup against Buxton. How important have these attendances been for the club, largely from a financial point of view, but also from like a loyalty point of view and as a community hotspot? But then also, how do you plan to cover potential shortfalls if promotion isn't achieved next season?
I mean, the planning for a game of capacity crowds is something that we've got used to, and that isn't me being arrogant. And 2 people from Runcorn love a final or a semi-final, so we've had a few of them. And we've had to plan accordingly. The first one we did, they've all happened while I've been chairman, so bit of a baptism of fire. It was the playoff final against Marine when Marine beat us, and we weren't even meant to have a home tie, but Marine were docked points, and it was just really difficult but we learnt a lot from that. Obviously, the ticketing system really helps us, and if I'm honest, I actually prefer all ticket games anyway. They're a lot easier to manage. You don't have to mess around with cash on the turnstiles and all of the other stuff. It's just a lot better. It's just a lot easier to manage logistically. So we've sort of got used to that. In terms of a shortfall from a promotion perspective, so again, we are making sure that we've got events on over the summer. We'll be putting season tickets probably on sale, so we do have we do have the ability through our events team to put on some big events over the summer that do help to to give us some good revenue. So that will no doubt continue, and obviously if we get the paddle courts over the line, there's the expectation that should be in before the end of the summer. And that will obviously increase our revenue as well. So, there's loads of stuff going on. Yes, some of it feels like a bit of a pipe dream at the moment. But, we'll get through to the end of the season, and come what may, we'll either play at step 4 next season or step 3. And yeah, just that's pretty much how we're sort of setting up. I've got full ability in Ello and the team to perform in these last few games to the best of their ability, and we are quite fortunate in that most of our players have either been in a playoff semi. What it's like in terms of the way that it's hurt them when they've lost. So who knows? This season might be our season. You never know.
Nah, you never do. But the run into the end of the season looks a bit tricky, to say the least. You've got to go to Trafford on Saturday, who've beaten Lower Brecon and Stafford Rangers in recent games. In terms of navigating the remaining fixtures, are you already looking ahead to the potential playoffs, or are you taking it one game at a time?
I never look at anything other than one step at a time, one game at a time, because at the amount of time, say we're going to win tonight and then we get smashed or whatever. I don't think it's the right approach to be cocky in any way about any of our fixtures, because any one of our teams can beat anyone. Who thought Vauxhall Motors were going to go to Bury the other week and beat Bury?
That's a point.
But you've got to treat, you have to treat every game, and you have to treat every football club and every football team with respect. If you don't, and you're cocky and arrogant, then I like that in any way. So we want to make sure that that we're treating every game with respect, and we're going into it with open eyes and thinking, you know what, this could be a banana skin. We've got to do our job. I believe in the team. I believe that our team and our squad are good enough to get us promoted. But one step at a time.
Listen, you're fighting above your weight in terms of budgets, playing budgets. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and you've been doing really well off the back of that. when you look at the failures of the old Runcorn football club, and you look at the legacy that they had, the 10 years in the Conference League and the notable FA Cup history, do you see yourselves as learning from those mistakes?
Going back to the old club, I'm probably not the best person to comment, because I was probably about 12 when I used to go and watch the old Runcorn club at Canal Street. But we do have people, our club president were involved and certainly had a sort of leading role in the old club, and we're absolutely devastated when the old club ceased to exist. So we are doing absolutely everything that we can through whatever that may be to make sure that never happens again. And
of course.
So we want to be as sustainable as we possibly can be, but it's tough. It really is. It's difficult, but it's nice to hear Frank say that we're punching above our weight, because that's exactly what I feel, how I feel every day. And we do have there is big expectation, not just on shoulders to get us further than we can.
Yeah.
Can we go any higher than the level above without some investment? No, I don't think so. I don't think
which begs the question which we ask a lot of people these days is, what do you feel as though your natural level is, and how long can you sustain at that level if you get promoted to the Premier Division next season? Do you feel as though that's your natural level before you make another push, and like you say, you get potential investment in to catapult yourselves even further?
Yeah, I think the level above it is our ceiling with this model that we've got without some investment. Frank, I wouldn't want to take the club any higher. Not with some of the the money that's being thrown around in the Conference North and the teams that are up there. I just wouldn't be.
It's got to be a chairman's nightmare, hasn't it? Because you must be looking at that now. Listen, I spend many of a night, go to bed. When I can't sleep, I'm thinking about the club. When I wake up, I start thinking about the football club. Every aspect from a financial perspective keeps a chairman up late at night. And the very thought of you moving up the higher level, I know you've got decent crowds, but to sustain at that level, you're looking at, you've got to start doubling your gates.
Yeah, we're doing a lot. We're doing some work with the local schools and everything else to try and increase the, putting offers on match days, stuff like that, to try and increase our crowds and our sort of fan base. We do a lot of online marketing, through email.
Yeah.
We've got an app for the club as well, which, Runcorn Linnets app that, our volunteer business development manager led with a company. We got that free of charge through an initiative with the local authority that we're doing with businesses. So we do have some, try our best to increase the crowds, but the problem is with non-league football, you ain't going to get people. It doesn't matter whether you increase your crowds in September or August to end of October. You ain't going to get people standing outside in the rain or the cold in November, December, and January. Whether you market them to death, it's just not going to happen. So how do you protect yourself through? My main concern is protecting the football club through the winter months, and making sure we've got cash reserves where we can afford for those games to be called off. We've got enough revenue. We're making enough revenue. We're making enough money to. For that to be a bit more comfortable. That would be my sort of main aim for next season.
Am I right in saying you've got a hybrid pitch now?
Yeah.
How durable are they? Because
horrendous. Horrendous.
Because Bootle are digging theirs up, aren't they? And they're getting.
Yeah, we want to dig ours up, Frank.
Yeah.
We want. So basically, we've said, right, put a pilot scheme in. It's not maybe worked as well as it should have. We want a 3G. So obviously we know we've got to sort of finance some of that. So we've started those initial conversations with the Football Foundation about doing what Bootle have done, and sort of seeing how that's going to play out, because we've got like 40 junior teams, and over the winter, they're all having to hire out additional venues because one, our hybrid pitch isn't fit for purpose, and two, we want to keep people off it to protect it for the games that are going to bring us, the cash in, and a 3G would allow us to do that and really become that, community hub. We're the biggest asset Runcorn.
Yeah. In
terms of a community asset, we're the biggest that Runcorn's got, but again, we're battling constantly with these things, and the pitch has been troublesome. I'm not going to lie, it seems great on paper, but unless you've got those heat lamps and great conditions for undersoil heating and all that stuff, you're not going to be a hybrid pitch. West of England, as us and Bootle have found out.
Sorry, I'm saying, were you part of a pilot scheme as were Bootle?
Yeah, pilot scheme as well as Bootle. Yeah, we just had the pitch was just a little bit different, but other than that, we were similar.
Who fully financed that? Was that the FA? Was it?
The Football Foundation, and we obviously had to put the Football Foundation funded it, but because they were a pilot scheme, yeah. So
you got it at a really good price, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they cost. They cost an absolute fortune, don't they? And we don't have enough 3G facilities in Runcorn. It's that simple. Yeah. For the footfall and the demand that we've got, the supply isn't there. We haven't got enough 3G, so.
I think that's the same running through all councils at the moment, isn't it? The short on 3G facilities.
It is, mate. Yeah, it is.
That's got to be really difficult for you. I suppose the other difficulty being Runcorn Linnets at the minute is the rise of Runcorn Town. Obviously, they've just been promoted as of last week, and they're now will be one division behind you. Is that something that concerns you because of the the popularity of two such football clubs in a small town like Runcorn, or do you relish the competition and challenge that an improving Runcorn Town will bring you?
I absolutely love the competition it brings. I used to love the derbies we used to have at Runcorn Town, so for me that's nothing but a positive thing, and that healthy competition in Runcorn is a really good thing. So no, it doesn't worry me or concern me. Some of my friends are involved with that football club. I've got no animosity whatsoever towards Runcorn Town. I believe that the competition's good and it's healthy.
That's fair. That's fair enough. And how do you switch off then, Peter? Personally speaking, I mean, I know that's a bit of a daft question in itself, because when does a chairman ever switch off? But is there anything that you do to kind of take your mind off football or relax?
So I work so there's a few things. So obviously spending time at home with my family. Yeah. As I said before, my wife's unbelievably supportive, and she backs me all throughout this. I've got 3 kids as well who keep me occupied. So we've got a young family. My youngest is 4, so he's obviously full of beans and keeps myself and my wife on our toes. So there's that. I work for a council in London, so I spend 2 days a week in London. So I drive into work, I drive into the office, or drive into London, staying over. Gives me that opportunity to have a bit of a rest, a bit of a break away from.
So you actually work to have a rest?
God.
Yeah. Well, it's like a working holiday, is what I call it.
Yeah.
So it took. So the kids are off school, so it took my sort of eldest son with me to. He came with me to London this week and sort of stayed in a little apartment that we had, and so there's quite a few things that. But again, you never totally switch off, because our clubs, a lot of the operations are run on WhatsApp or on phones or whatever. So you're always sort of dealing with something.
You can't get away from the ping, can you?
You always want to look at something, or what do you think about this? And sometimes it's like you just want people to sort of leave you alone, but it's never, I'm never like that. I'd never, say...
That'll never happen while you're the chairman of a football club. But listen, before we finish, I'd just like to go back to the FA Cup, and you'd obviously played Buxton in the fourth qualifying round, and I think you lost, I think, was it narrowly, I think it was a 1-0 injury time win for Buxton. They went on to make £50,000 profit from prize money and TV money on top of it. Listen, we've seen what happened at Marine a few years ago and what difference it could make to a football club, because they managed to put 3G down. We've been fortunate enough to play there this season. We're going back to Bearsco next season. But those kind of things, what's your dream in football? Is it to get to the first round proper of the FA Cup?
Let's look at Macclesfield this season. Look at what they achieved.
Yeah, they beat the cup holders.
I was very, very fortunate that one of our old players was, plays for Macclesfield, Sam Heathcote, and he was at Runcorn. He comes to watch us every now and again when they're not playing, and we've still got that good relationship, and that side of it was just amazing. They were sort of narrowly beaten by Brentford in the end after beating Crystal Palace. I mean, and not a poor Crystal Palace team, so that's got to be the dream. The best, biggest giant killing ever. Why don't you, try and aim for that? And we were close to beating Buxton. They walked away from that game feeling lucky. There's no doubt about it. Luke Brennan was class on the day and scored the goal at the end, but we could have easily won that game, and we were really, really unlucky. And we used to say that it couldn't have been us. We'd already been on the TV as well in the earlier rounds, but it's not TNT Sports money, is it?
No.
And that's where you get into when you get into that sort of first, second, third round, and of course the prize money that comes with it.
So listen, when you eventually walk away from football and retire from it, whatever decision you decide to make, what do you want to be looking back on? What would have fulfilled your role as a chairman at Runcorn Linnets?
The club being at step 3 for one, I think is probably going to be the pinnacle for me. Us obviously getting the paddle courts in, the 3G, the club being sustainable, having sort of money to be able to fund a decent playing budget, playing in step 3, good sponsorship, good relationships with the local authority, which you've already got, to be fair, but a lot of these things are in progress at the moment. It wouldn't be right to walk away right now simply because of that. You want to make sure that those sort of things are maintained and you can get some of this stuff over the line. So there's a team of us trying to do all these things and get these new projects over the line. I think that's that would be the sort of main aim. But we've already got some notable achievements in terms of the crowds, the way we've been developing and building the facilities up, and some additional sponsorship, and there's been loads of things that we've done that I think we would know as achievements in terms of the club's progression. So yeah, that's where I'd like to leave it. Where I'd like to leave it.
So step 3 and FA Cup first round proper.
Well, FA Cup. What about the final, Frank? Come on.
Well, listen,
it's only £2 million prize money. Come on, mate.
Oh, is that all it is? Listen, we look at the great cup runs that Southport and Marine have been on, and it's an absolute fraction of prize money that they've achieved.
Yeah. Some are great friends in football from Marine, and people. I've got a lot of admiration, and sort of we've done a lot of modelling of our club on their successes, and it's great to see them doing well at the level they're at, and those type of things sort of spur us on, I think, to progress.
Of course.
And of course, one good cup run, you could end up playing Spurs in the third round of the FA Cup.
I don't think Spurs is an attractive proposition right now.
Yeah.
The state of Spurs right now, I don't think that's attractive.
You probably beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
I reckon Runcorn would beat them.
I think they probably would.
You get to the fourth round, then more TV money, more cup money, prize money.
Exactly, yeah.
And listen, it'd certainly be nice on the old epitaph, wouldn't it, at the end of
the end of it all.
At the end of it all. Well, listen, thanks very much for coming on the show. It's been great. Listen, best of luck at Trafford on Saturday.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
Like we say to everybody that's been a guest on, we always look out for you now.
We'll always root for the Linnets a little bit more now.
Yeah. So listen, it's been great to have you on the show.
Thanks very much. Peter. Take care.
Guys.
Cheers.
All the best.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye. Bye.
Hello and welcome to the third and final part of the Speaking Frankly football show. And thank you very much to Peter Cartledge, who was in part 2 of the show, the Runcorn Linnets chairman. Really interesting conversation there. Apologies for the breaks. There was a little bit of a problem, a little bit of glitch with signals, but I think he got his words over well.
He communicated what he needed to communicate despite the technical difficulties. There will be a point where we eventually have a limousine come and pick up our guests and bring them to our studio in, Skelmersdale's version of Media City. But until then, we have to make do with WhatsApp and Signal. But anyway, wonderfully enlightening point of view from a chairman of a football club who is actually, at the topper end of Northern Premier League, which is not really an avenue that we venture that deeply down. I know we cover kind of the results.
We've done Lower Brack, didn't we, before they got promoted? We've obviously spoken to Berry. We spoke to Cleggy when he was at Atherton.
Well, you did.
Yeah, did I?
I wasn't there.
I thought you were.
No, I wasn't there for that one.
Oh, I can't remember.
Exactly.
Oh, my memory's going. 58 years of age and I've lost it.
Yeah, but anyway, we have excellent little interview there from Peter. Thank you very much to him for coming on.
And an honest assessment from a chairman that realises that there is a level.
There is a limitation.
I've never heard, other than myself, I've never really heard anybody pontificate or speak from the parapet and say, we realise what our level is, and it probably is that next step.
Yeah, nobody's actually said it in black and white, have they? We've had people say, come on and say, we want to be sustainable. But they also say that with a lot of ambition kind of between the lines. So you actually have to wonder how many of these lot are running before they can walk. Whereas with Peter, all he wants to do, I think he's seen and understands exactly what the plight can be if you jump far beyond your station. We've seen it with the winding up of Runcorn FC. He doesn't want to go anywhere near that, so I think he's doing very well to actually identify the level and look to stay there, whilst also simultaneously challenging for it.
Yeah, really nice chap and interesting interview. And listen, I know we don't speak to many chairmen, but I know we've spoke to Jay Hawkes and one or two others over the series, I think. But it's good to get an insight from that slightly higher level as well, because even when we're at that level, we still understand how difficult it is to run a football club you're looking at my results there, aren't you?
No.
I lifted my piece of paper there and you're looking at my results. Just be patient.
All right.
Yeah, so it comes to our predictions, but yeah, listen, it's refreshing to know that we've people at all levels feel the pressure as much as we do.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter what level you're at, you'll always feel the pressure.
Quite.
But yeah, thanks to Peter, we wish him all the best.
Very much so.
For the remainder of the season. Hope they get in the playoffs and win them as well.
Well, they're certainly going about it the right way at the minute, but as Peter said, it's just one game at a time.
Yeah. Listen, before we do our talk on Skelmersdale United Football Club, we're going to do our predictions for the bumper week ahead. But first of all, we'll look at the results from last week and our predictions. And you've obviously seen what?
No, I haven't.
Well, you were looking.
I saw the pink highlights, but I didn't see kind of anything bitten.
Okay, so go on. How many did you get?
30.
All right, well, I beat you 32.
Shut up!
Oh, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
For God's sake.
I'm really pleased with that, because I felt as though I put a lot of hard work and effort into it. And you know what? Probably one or two of the results that it pulled it off for me was, I think you went with the Saturday's fixture. You went Remy to beat Abbey Hay, did you? I went for a draw.
Yeah, that was one.
And I got the draw.
Yes, you did.
And I'm just trying to look at...
I went for a draw at Thornton Cleveland's and Nelson.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a bold one. Cone versus Daisy Hill, I went for a draw as well. And Ashton Town versus Holker Old Boys, I thought Holker were gonna do things, and it ended up being 1-0 to
Wythenshawe let us both down, didn't they?
Wythenshawe let us both down.
And in fact, the Runcorn, the draw against Cheadle Heath Nomads, that was a surprise in itself.
That was a bit of a weird one. Yeah. What was the other one as well? Chatterton versus Atherton LR. I went for the draw. Whereas I think you...
I went for the draw.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went for the draw. We both agreed upon that.
Oh, okay.
I think Telford versus Alsager. Did you go for the draw on that one?
Telford versus Alsager.
Because I went for the Telford win.
I went for a Telford win.
Yeah, all right.
So I did get that one right. Yeah. Yeah, there were just a few where I think I went just a bit too rogue on them, and it just didn't work out well.
Anyway, it's a win for me.
Right.
So listen, we'll move on to the fixtures for the week ahead. Yeah. Quickly go through these before we do our summary of Skelmersdale United and summary, our end of show summary. Yeah. So Friday, is there a match on tonight, by the way?
AFC Liverpool versus Nelson.
That's Friday.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
All right, so that's tonight.
Yeah.
Even though we're recording on Thursday. So okay, yeah.
Macron Cup semi-final.
Yeah. Okay, so AFC Liverpool versus Nelson. I think Nelson will win.
Do you know what? I think AFC Liverpool, and I'll tell you for why.
You think they might rest some players?
I think Nelson are going to have to rest some players. Their turnover of fixtures has just been ridiculous in the last 3 weeks or so, and I know that they've had really decent results and what have you. I think something's got to give. Whereas AFC Liverpool, we've already talked about Elliot Taylor being in the form of his life. We mentioned on the show that Lewis Byrne had scored 60 goals to break the record at North West County's level, but Elliot Taylor has 40. Although that is a bit behind Lewis Byrne, that is still an excellent achievement, and I just think AFC Liverpool have started to up the ante in the past few weeks. Really, their general form is miles better. They've won 5 out of the last 6 games and only conceded 3 goals. So I'm going to say AFC Liverpool. Yeah,
I'm going to stick to Nelson.
All right.
Saturday, the Macron Cup semi-final, Bearscough versus West Didsbury and Chorlton.
So, yeah, West Didsbury and Chorlton have just played last night against Thornton Cleveland's in the replayed quarterfinals, which won't have helped them at all. With that in mind, Bearscough have obviously had a little bit more time to prepare themselves and rest themselves. Worth bearing in mind, West Didsbury have lost Jordan Lazenbury. He signed for Bury last week, so that's a big loss to their midfield.
So you're going for a Bearscough win?
I am going to go for a Bearscough win.
I'm going for a Bearscough win. I want them to get to the final. So I want to go and watch it as well.
Oh, that would be worth watching, wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
So Premier Division on Saturday, Atherton LR versus Cheriton. We'll go through it as quickly as we can. Atherton LR
against Charnock Richard. If Charnock Richard are actually one of the highest goal scorers in England, so if Atherton LR can nullify Jordan Darr and Nathan Nikias, I think they'll win it, and I see them doing that. So Atherton LR for me.
Right, okay. Barnoldswick Town versus Wythenshawe. Chadderton versus Earlham. You know what? I think this is going to be a draw.
I think Chadderton are going to win.
Right, Exton Villa versus South Liverpool. I'm going for the draw again.
Exton Villa for me.
FC United versus FC St Helens versus Glossop North End. It's a tough one there.
I'm going to say a draw there.
Right, I'm going to go for FC St Helens because I think they'll want to finish the season off as best they can. Remy versus Remy. You reckon?
I'm backing Remy in every single game.
I think it'll be a tough game for them, and I think Remy will just about edge that one. I don't think it'll be a cricket scoreline. I think
it absolutely won't. It won't be. Because Litherland have just turned everything around.
Well, showed up the defences, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Padiham versus Pilkington.
That one's a bit more open and
that's
closed.
That's going to be a big win, that. FC Isle of Man versus Prestwich Hayes.
Prestwich Hayes.
Go for Prestwich Hayes. And the latest story I've heard from the shores of the Isle of Man is that nobody seems to know where that story has come from.
So FC Isle of Man are still very much in business and have every intention of being next season.
Yeah, until otherwise told.
Fair play to the lads.
Division 1 North, Ashton Athletic versus Daisy Hill. I think this will be a Daisy Hill win.
So do I, yes.
Bacup Borough versus Thornton Cleveland. Bacup Borough still got an outside chance of the playoffs.
Yeah,
so with that in mind, I think on the home advantage, I'm going to go for Bacup.
Oddly enough, Thornton Cleveland are actually higher up the table by
only by 2 points. Got a couple of games in hand, have they?
They do, yeah. They've got a couple of games in hand. They've also... Bacup haven't won in their last 6 games, whereas Thornton Cleveland have won 2 but lost their last 3. So I'm going to say a draw.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, listen, I didn't really notice that, but the second from bottom in the form table.
I mean, what the hell does it matter? You've won the last week, so you trust your own instincts.
Yeah, I'm throwing this one away. I'm still going with Baker, but Cone versus McGull. I don't think that's going to be an easy game either. I think that might be a Cone win. You know how difficult it is there at the end of the season. A tough pitch to play on, as we know. Darwin versus Squiresgate.
I mean, I've never been to Cone, so you'll have to tell me. But I'm going to say a draw between Darwin and Squiresgate.
Yeah, it looks very much like a draw because there's only a place between the two teams, but I still think Darwin will come out winners on that one. So Droylsden versus Ashton Town. I'm going for Droylsden, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ashton won that either. Garstang versus Steeton. I'm going for Steeton. Holker Old Boys versus Fullwood Amateurs. I'm going for Holker, just purely based on home advantage.
On Saturday, yeah. And then MSB Woolton versus Main Road MSB Woolton.
MSB Woolton. First Division South Allscott Heath versus Foley Mere.
The Heath.
Yeah. You going for the Heath?
I'm going for the Heath.
Yeah, I'll go for the Heath. Alsager Town versus Market Drayton Town. Go for Market Drayton Town.
MDT, yes.
Barton versus Shawbury. I think Shawbury will do that as well.
I am going to say Barnton.
Yeah. Cheadle Heath Nomads versus Telford Town. I think Telford Town are going to win that one.
I'm going to say a draw there.
You know, if I win it next week, I'm going to win it based on Telford Town winning that game.
Yeah, probably. Or I'm going to lose it based on Rennie dropping.
Bacup Borough beating Thornton Cleveland. But anyway, Eccleshall versus Camelard.
Eccleshall.
Horman versus Stafford. Stockport Georgians versus Runcorn Town. Do they take the foot off the gas now and enjoy the away game? But it's not going to be an easy game for them, is it?
No, Stockport Georgians is third place. Yeah, exactly. But I'll still say the away win.
You know what? I hate to say it, but I think after the Lord Mayor's show...
You'd say Georgians are going to rain on the parade.
No, I'm still going to go for Runcorn Town. But I just thought I'd put you on your edge of your seat there. Wolverhampton Casuals versus New Mills.
New Mills for me.
Yeah, just looking at it there. Yeah, New Mills. Let's go for New Mills. Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, Stockport Town versus FC Isle of Man, Stockport Town. Abbey Hay versus Cheadle Town. I'm going to go for Abbey Hay. AFC Liverpool versus Remy.
Draw.
You think a draw? I'm going to go AFC Liverpool. Barnoldswick Town versus Padiham. Bearscough versus Atherton LR.
LR.
You know what? I've got a feeling that's going to be a draw.
All right then.
Charnock Richards versus Exton Villa.
That's the derby. That.
Well, they're all relative derbies, aren't they?
That is it. Yeah, but no, that one is especially a draw. There's only a little bridge over the M6 that separates them two.
Yeah. So where are you going with that one?
Charlie Richard.
You going for Charnock Richard?
I am.
I think I'll go for Charnock Richard as well. FC St Helens versus Pilts. FC St Helens. Glossop North End versus Elam. Prestwich Hayes Chadderton. Not an easy game.
No, I still will say an away win. I think Chaddy will do it, but
yeah, let's go for Chaddy.
Prestwich Hayes. We've not really spoken about them much, but they've just launched themselves into the top 7 here at this point. Some excellent results going their way.
Yeah, and where are they in terms of form?
About 4th.
I don't know, because I can't find any piece of paper.
I'll tell you now, they're top.
Preston
Well, no,
Chelsea, I was
6
going to say that. The top of the table there. Ooh,
Excuse me.
so that creates a little bit of a dilemma, doesn't it?
Just little.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go for I'm changing my mind. I'm going for a draw.
All right then.
Yeah. Remy versus Longridge. You're going for Remy.
You mean Rami?
Remy?
Yes.
Yeah. I said Remy.
No, you said Remy. You thought Remy you're going to lose
I said
against.
Remy.
All right,
No, I think Remy are going to win it. Anyway, listen, never mind.
God.
I'll read that back. I'll listen to it back. South Liverpool versus City of Liverpool. I'm going for
South Liverpool.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Withenshaw versus West Didsbury and Chorlton.
Withenshaw.
Oh, yeah, I've got to go for Withenshaw on that one. First Division North, AFC Blackpool versus Squires Gate. I'm going for Squires Gate.
Squires Gate.
Ashton Athletic, Ashton Town,
Draw. I think Ashton Town will just pull something out of the bag of it.
Cone versus Steeton. I'm going for Steeton.
Draw.
Daisy Hill versus Baker Borough. Going Daisy Hill.
Daisy Hill.
Fulwood Amateurs versus Thornton Cleveleys. I'm going Thornton Cleveleys.
Fulwood Amateurs.
Cool. Garstang versus Holker Old Boys. Go Holker Old
Holker.
Boys. McGull versus MSB Wolf. I'm going to MSB Wolf. McGull. Main Road versus Droylsden. Go for Droylsden. Nelson versus Darwin. Must-win game for Nelson. That. Yeah. Division 1 South. Camelot versus Asheville. Going for Asheville. Cheadle Heath Nomads. Stockport Georgians.
The Georgians.
Alsager Town Sandbach. Foleymere Stafford. Horman Shawbury. Market Drayton Town Eccleshall. Runcorn Town versus Barnton. Runcorn. Telford Town versus New Mills. I'm going for a draw. Right, so Wednesday Premier Division Barnsley versus West Didsbury. West Didsbury. Longridge versus AFC Liverpool. Going for a draw. So Wednesday in the First Division North, Holgrove Boys versus Droylsden.
Whoa! Yeah, draw.
Yeah. Whoa! Draw.
Yeah.
Baker Borough
Had to
versus
keep you on the edge of your seat, Franklin.
Yeah. Baker Borough versus Ashton Town. I think Ashton Town will just about sneak that one.
I think Baker Borough will.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. First, you've got to go different this week, haven't you? In order to beat me.
Let's face it, it's either going to be really close or I'm going to get absolutely clattered by you.
Listen, we're going to be miles apart on this one, I think. First Division South, Foleymere versus Eccleshall. Going for Eccleshall. And to complete the coverage, Wednesday, the 8th of April, Cheshire Senior Cup semi-finals, Runcorn Town versus Vauxhall Motors.
Oh, I think that will be a bit of a step too far for Runcorn Town. I do see Vauxhall Motors winning that one.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know. Depends what they field. And it depends very much on their running in the playoffs as well.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm going for...
You're going to go for Runcorn, aren't you?
I'm going to go Runcorn. Yeah, go on. Put me neck out, Runcorn. Definitely Runcorn.
Screw it. All right, there we go.
And they'll get to the final and win the league as well, which would round up a really good season for them.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, nice one. So that concludes all the fixtures for the week ahead, and what a fixture list it is.
What a magnificent game of football we've got going on.
Yeah, what it promises to be over the next few days.
Yeah.
And we'll certainly know who the movers and shakers are going into the final week.
Yeah.
So listen, we've done that. I think before we go on talking about Skelmersdale United Football Club, I just thought I would put this out. There is just two teams in the global non-league with 100% league records, and they are Westfield Reserves and the Grenadier.
No, I'm not counting the Grenadier in this one.
They have to.
No, they drew with Daysbrook and Daysbrook then folded.
You're going to say that because Andy Barlow said the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it's been taken out of the record books.
I don't care if it's been taken out of the record books. The record book said that the result was void, but we know what happened because we saw the result before the result was withdrawn. The Grenadier drew again.
Where do you put them in the table then? In the top 250? If you put them further down, do you? You accept that draw back in the day and relegate them?
Yes.
No, you can't do that. Anyway,
I can do whatever I want. This is my show too.
Anyway, listen, it doesn't matter really, does it? Because the Grenadier, as we know, have won 18 games.
They were confirmed champions of the Liverpool County Premier League about 2 weeks ago.
And deservedly so. I think there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They're the most complete team
they are
in that division by far. So well done to them. Yeah, brilliant. And I think the next step for them is to try and win their remaining games.
Yeah, win all their remaining games. I don't know how many cup competitions that they're in either.
I'd like to know the last time anybody achieved that in the Liverpool Premier League.
What, the Liverpool treble? That's interesting.
Well, competing all season and winning every single game.
Which they haven't done, but okay.
Gonna argue. Listen, so moving on, the team with the biggest support in non-league is Southend United with an average gate of 7,950.
I don't know how on earth they're still in non-league. Those guys should easily be peppering League 2, League 1. With
you look at the likes of Fleetwood, Accrington Stanley, teams that are in the Football League now, and I'm talking about sort of locally. Even Tranmere, I think Tranmere are probably about the same, aren't they? In terms of gates, I would imagine.
Yeah, they are.
Well, not much better than that anyway. But that's amazing anyway. And like you said, they should be winning everything around them.
They really should be winning it. Well, they've got an opportunity to win the FA Trophy. They're in the final against Wealdstone at Wembley. You would think they're going to win that one.
Yeah. So listen, the best supported teams in the Northwest counties are West Didsbury and Chorlton. They average 603. They are in 134th position.
Yep.
In 144th position is FC Alaman, 563. 164th in the top 250 is Droylsden on 477. In 224th place is Wythenshawe on 352, and just sneaking in at the bottom spot, 250th is Padiham.
What's their average?
I didn't look.
For crying out loud.
300 and something.
Sure, whatever. Yeah. 302. Anyway, Runcorn Linnets up to 127th place, I think, following their bumper gate against Bury. Their average is now 635, which just goes to show that Northwest Counties is the greatest league in all of Britain, quite honestly, because we've got sort of 6 representations in there at least. We've got 4 from Northwest County, 5 from Northwest Counties. Sorry, I think in our peak we'd have probably been in there as well.
I think it's widely regarded that the Northwest Counties, from step 5, from a step 5, step 6 perspective, is one of the best run leagues throughout the country. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And I think most people competing in other areas would agree with that as well.
I think they probably would. Yeah, I think when you consider sort of a comparative between teams, you're probably best looking off at somebody like Route 1 Rovers, who made the transition from Northwest Counties to Northern Counties East last season. They were 4th bottom of the league when the season finished last season. They're just outside the playoffs in Northern Counties East this level. Right,
moving on to Skelmersdale United Football Club, and of course we lost on Saturday. You weren't there, of course, because you were doing a little bit of scouting.
I certainly was.
To sum up the game, 2 mistakes, in the early part of the game, if you like, put us on the back foot.
Yeah.
I don't think, as a team collectively, I think there was a lot of effort in there.
Yeah,
it's not one of those times when I feel as though we've capitulated or anything like that.
Okay.
Wind played a big part in it.
Yeah.
Joe Langford caught out twice. In fairness, with the first one, he's managed to pull off a save, but the ball, I think, rebounded off the crossbar, and then they've slotted home from that. But in terms of the Wind, I think judgment wise, I don't want to be overly critical of him, but I think he should have took that into consideration and not been as far off his line. There's no save to make in the first one if he's further back and he's in the 6-yard box. But listen, we didn't have our finishing shoes on that either, so we can't argue about that one. The penalty which killed the game off in the second half, basically I can't remember who the centre half was.
Jason Clark, Clayton Rimmer.
No, Jono, was it? Who was it? I can't remember who it was now, but he's basically, they both got the back to goal. According to the referee, when I've spoken to him, he's tugged his shirt. The fellas fell over in dramatic fashion. The referees turned around and said to him, "Listen, you be careful there. I could have booked you on that basis." I'd seen the shirt being pulled. He said, "You've got the penalty. You don't need all the amateur dramatics."
Yeah, well, that makes it this is the third time that we've played Halewood Apollo, and in each of our games against them, we've conceded a penalty against them.
Yeah,
And we've conceded quite a few penalties this season. So I think there's definitely a bit of what would you call it? Maturity defensively that we need to address.
There's huge room for improvement, but once again we were let down by injuries as well as late commitments as well. So that didn't help either. And it's been the case throughout the season. All the kickoff times are irregular, aren't they?
They are.
I think we played one game at 11 o'clock in the morning, didn't we? I can't remember whether that was
something like that.
Was that a cup game? Was that FC Kirby? I can't remember.
No, I think it was Netherley. Actually, I think we played Netherley at sort of 11.
Yeah. I mean, ridiculous kick-off times, to be honest. There's no consistency there, but we know the reason why, because they're playing on community hubs.
So it's whatever slot they can get, really. But nonetheless, it's still a reasonably well-run league from a league perspective. It's just these are the kind of things that come with playing at the amateur level, when none of the teams have their own home, really, aside from us and Halewood.
So it was a cup game. We're out of the cup. We could have got into a semi-final if we'd have won that. But we're back to league fixtures. We play Joey Orrs, and it's a 1 o'clock kickoff at the Marine Travel Arena Stadium. 1 o'clock kickoff for those that
so it's an early
need to
kickoff.
set their alarms. Right. Early kickoff. And we just have to remind ourselves that our last 2 league games were unbeaten.
Last 2 games were unbeaten. We played Joey Orrs the very first game of the season.
It was a tight game.
It was a very tight game, and ironically enough, the Litherland Remica hotshot Dylan O'Callaghan was the goal scorer for Joey Orrs in that game. So he won't be there this time around, which helps us a little.
You'd like to think so. I don't tend to look at the league positions too much.
No, they are 6th, I think, at Joey Orrs at the minute.
The point I'd make is I've been disappointed when we've capitulated. I was disappointed that we didn't use the wind to our advantage in the second half. Although it did change to a degree, it meant more sideways than direct.
Yeah.
But overall, there was plenty of commitment there. They didn't give up. Jason Clark made his debut this season. As we know, he was with us last season. Jason Clark was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, got injured and had to be taken off as a precaution. He should be back playing. He skipped training on Wednesday, but he should be back for the game at Joey Orrs. Joey Orrs, when we played them at the very beginning of the season, wasn't much between the two teams. A draw would have been
a draw, really.
Yeah, a draw would have been. I think, didn't we have was it a penalty, a Stonewall penalty that we got?
That turned down.
Yeah.
It's possible. Yeah. I don't.
Towards the end of the game in the second half, I'm pretty sure we should have had a penalty, but
but also we conceded a goal from a very stupid miscommunication mistake.
It was Duwana played the back pass, hadn't he? And it was short of power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they
a mistake again. How many mistakes are we going to make that need to go? So
we have lost about 4 games by a single goal that have been based on mistakes.
Yeah. But I think by and large, if you look at it, and listen, we will cast our opinion on the whole season when the season's concluded. But by and large, I would say, apart from 1 or 2 obvious teams, the Grenadier being one of them, we've managed to. We've lost the games. We've allowed people to win them because of the mistakes that we've made.
Yeah,
and that quite naturally happened with a young squad and a squad that keeps chopping and changing all the time.
Also the mentality as well. I think the mentality is that by 60-70% of the games, something like that. The games that we've lost have been down. We've stopped running, or
we'll be nowhere near as bad as that next season. I don't think
not at all. Not at all. Like I said, there's a reason that I've been out scouting. There's a reason that I'm kind of absenting myself from Skelmersdale United in order to try and help them.
So what has Mo Salah said?
So Mo Salah has said that he wants a flat in Digmore.
Well, they're undergoing a £20 million refurbishment up in Digmore eventually.
Exactly.
So,
there you go.
You might want to move
he's
there.
one of the very first people to put down reservation for a new apartment.
So he's got an off-plan.
Exactly.
Paid his deposit and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That all depends on whether he does go to Saudi
and not Skemmy.
And not Skemmy, Because I was listening to Stephen Gerrard today, and Stephen Gerrard was saying that he's most likely going to go to
Saudi. Of course, yeah. And
he's not going to go to the MLS.
No, it's Saudi is the new MLS, isn't it?
Do you think it's too soon for him? Do you think he could still play elite football in Champions League clubs?
God, yeah.
Could he go back to
100%.
Italy? He's not going to get. I think even Gerrard said it. He's not going to get into Real Madrid or Barcelona, but he might get into one of the top Italian clubs.
I think he could get into one of the top Italian clubs. I think he could get into most teams in most of the higher end leagues, to be honest.
Do you think he'd rub people's noses in it and join another club in the Premier League?
No.
That won't happen.
No, I don't think so.
There's more chance of him coming to Skep.
Yeah, well, he's already played for Chelsea. It just didn't work out for him. But ironically enough, he was there at Anfield the day Gerrard slipped, and he was celebrating with Demba Ba. So go figure. But yeah, no. Mo Salah most definitely on board for the Skem Revolution next season. One or two, teams being looked at. So I'm at Joey Orr's game this weekend, but then next weekend I'm likely to be away scouting again. I've had really good chats with.
We've got no game for 4 weeks, haven't we? 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives me opportune time to just go out and just have a look around.
It gives us an opportune time to go and see some of those clubs that we've been talking about before. Who were we talking about before?
Clitheroe.
I've got to take you to Clitheroe.
There we go. There we go.
I love Clitheroe. I've told the story about my 18th birthday. I'm not going to repeat that one again.
You got a caravan in Bradford West as well.
Yeah, West Bradford.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Shut up. But that's one for us as well. But yeah, the Skem Revolution begins with me scouting, taking a lot of tips off Tommy Lawson, who I had a really decent chat with about, some of the very basics of scouting, but Andy's open
to have plenty of money.
Yeah, ideally,
Ideally would be great,
but Andy's very open to the possibility of looking at new players in the off season. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, and listen, if we do get down to Clitheroe, we could strike up some kind of deal with Sean McConville and have dual registered players, because I would imagine a lot of his players are from Liverpool as well.
You would think.
I don't know for certain. I'd have to have a look through it, but
there may be some. There may be one or two. Yeah.
Anyway, listen, moving on. We wanted to sort of make a little bit of a response to the statement that came out from West Lancashire Borough Council, because it was a little bit misleading, I think, and people asked me questions. So, in the best way to address that, the deal that West Lancashire Junior Football League have struck with JMO is about to be announced anytime soon. But what we do know is that what's possibly happened with West Lancashire Borough Council is they've declared the 6 month break clause, and they've extended that to give to make sense of them ploughing all that money into the new pitch. And as we know, it's been dug up, the south pitch, and they're currently relaying it with a new carpet. Okay. So it's looking really, really great at the JMO for the south pitch, and they're going to do remedial work on the north pitch. We know that they've spruced it up. It's looking fresh and bright. It's had a lick of paint, I believe. It's looking good, and it's looking great for West Lancashire Junior Football League as they go into they go into the new season. When they start, was it be around about September when junior football starts? A
little bit earlier than that, I think.
The facility's going to be I think it's around about September. But listen, by the time they do the summer schools and all that, they'll be there as soon. It probably only take about 2 or 3 weeks for this to be finished before it's fit to be played on. They've got to get it licensed first. So the first thing is they'll have to get the basic FA license to play football on there. Competitive football on there, and then of course they'll have to get it FIFA bounce tested. FIFA bounce tests, you can't book one. You have to wait for the next one to come along. That won't affect Claybrow stroke Skelmersdale Town, because right at this moment, Shirley United,
Shirley Town.
Shirley Town. It won't affect them in the greater sense, because right now they're still at step 8, is it?
Yeah.
Step 8. I mean, there's a possibility that they could get promoted at the end of the season. Difficult one, but they might just do that.
Yeah, they're not out. They're not out of the running, are they?
Yeah, but they won't be subject to a FIFA bounce test anyway, so that's no worry for them. Now, what I would say is, because maybe it was missed in translation in my previous podcast, or our previous podcast when you interviewed me.
Yeah,
we've never been given the opportunity to go back to the JMO. Nobody's opened their hands or their arms to us and said, listen, you can come back to the JMO. The only people that tried to do a deal, and it was, as I've said, a hostile attempt to take over of Skem, was Clay Brow, and we rebuffed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Mm. But in terms of, and what I've been saying is, because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but even if we had have returned this season, we would have still had to have security of tenure. Now, if Skelmersdale Town can achieve what we couldn't and get security of tenure, then in the years to come when they progress through the system, if they get into the non-league system, then when they have to upgrade, they will be able to access funds from Football Foundation.
Which is what security of tenure is, really, isn't it?
Well, you need security of tenure in order to access Football Foundation
because
funds.
It proves that you're going to be there for a while, doesn't it?
Well, it not just only proves that, it proves that that pitch is solely to benefit you than anybody else.
Okay.
If it's to benefit profits-wise, if it's to benefit other people, then strictly speaking, it's not benefiting the team that are in situ. So you have to have, I think it's a minimum of 3 years. It used to be, it might have been extended now, but you certainly can't have a year-to-year contract. As it stands, you need much longer than that.
You need sort of at least around about 5 years or so at minimum.
But I think it was 3.
Is it 3?
But it might be going up. I don't know.
Okay.
But in terms of accessing Football Foundation, you can't. But you can't anyway until you get to until you're in step 6. So you have to finance. You have to find a way of financing that before you get to step 6. Mm. So as we know, Halewood Apollo now, I would imagine through some of the regeneration fund. The levelling up funds that have been created for Halewood, they might have managed to get a few bob from them in order to create the stands that they've got, put the stands in, the turnstiles and the dugouts. Yeah,
and obviously, as we know, they only have the team in Liverpool County Prem who are eligible for promotion should they finish in the top 5. But ultimately that's what we were kind of wanting to clarify from West Lancashire Borough, is that we never were offered to go back to the JMO. So we're just now that Clay Brower are there in situ for the long term, we think, as our West Lancashire Junior Football League, as well as is it FC Formby play on there as well?
Yeah, Formby play on there.
Exactly. So Formby come all the way to Skem to play their games.
And still the invite for Skem United Football Club's not come.
No.
And it doesn't seem likely to,
But that's all right, because we're just pottering on with our own thing at the minute.
But can I just say 2 things? One, first of all, it's been mentioned, don't believe everything that you hear on a podcast. Everything that I said in that podcast was true. It was factual. There's no doubt about it. And in terms of whether I've mentioned putting a spade in the ground or not, I'm referring to many spades, not just the spade that they put in the ground. And
they haven't even put it in the ground, have they?
No, they haven't. It's not. It's still, at the end of the day, is not their
renovation.
No, it's not their renovation. And I'm not going to get into a war of words with them. I don't have to. But they've mentioned both points now about the podcast.
Well, which is ironic. It's ironic, isn't it? It's a bit more of a tongue-in-cheek poke at us rather than actually just clarifying. Well, actually you're wrong on this point. They've not actually said anything about that. So I'd love for them to point out where exactly they think we are wrong on this point. But also, thank you very much for tuning in, boosting our listenership.
Yeah, and listen, can I just say, because I took a call this afternoon. Take loads of calls, but I took one specific that actually turned around and said to me, I thought Clay Brower, I thought West Lancashire Junior Football League wanted to help Skelmersdale United Football Club. but it seems really strange that once they didn't get the badge, it looks as though there's an all-out battle to make sure that they never come back to Skem. Interesting. But I'm going to do an Eric Cantona.
What, you're going to do a flying kung fu kick at somebody?
Well, it's not so much poetry, but no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
A prison looks grim on the inside, regardless of whether it's full or empty. But let's be blunt. We are all prisoners in the war. The optics don't always look good, even when one side is winning, because propaganda distorts the facts. So the only thing we can do is be as honest as we can, because the truth will always prevail in the end.
Look at that.
On that note, do you understand that?
I'll need to read it, because you know me, I'm terrible with like an actual verbal retention.
I'm very much into optics, and the fact that optics seem to, a little bit like opinions now, seem to trump facts. And I think
statistics.
Yeah. I think, I don't know whether I mentioned it last week, but when we're talking about politics, the politics is a theory, and when you try to put it into practice, it's only when you put it into practice it's proved whether it's wrong, right or wrong. And that's when you make decisions. You don't know whether your decisions are right or wrong. And even further down the line, if you have success, at some stage you're going to have failures. Nobody stays competitive and at the top of the league and wins everything every time.
No.
Nobody has that.
Everyone
kind of,
has ebbs and flows.
nobody has that kind of success.
Yeah.
But so I thought I'd just mention that. I should have turned it into a rap.
Oh God, no! Don't. Let's not go that far.
Okay.
No.
So we've come to that final part of the show where we talk about what we learned so far.
Optics are lies, and also there's only one team with a 100% winning record.
Yeah. And that is?
Not the Grenadier.
No, it's, according to you, it is... Where are we?
Westfield Reserves.
Westfield Reserves.
I'd love to know what Westfield first team are like then, if their reserves are winning 100%.
Well, I'd be taking all of their...
Yeah, exactly. You'd turn them around, wouldn't you?
In fact, if Westfield Reserves is close by, I think we need to start recruiting from them. I've got a feeling it's...
Well, that's where I'm going in a Saturday or two. No.
You go to Westfield.
I'm going to Westfield. Wherever that may be.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
So, what have I learned? Well, basically... it's interesting when you speak to other chairmen and you feel... I know we spoke off mic as well as on. You can feel there's a certain amount of pressure there. There's an awful lot of ambition and hope and happiness about being involved with a football club. But we're all prone to feeling the weight on our shoulders. And it's refreshing to listen to people like Peter.
Yeah, it is. He's very candid about his expectations and his ceilings, isn't he? He lives and breathes that football club the same way you and I live and breathe Skem. The same way I think that most chairmen live and breathe their football club, don't they? They're constantly thinking about how to better it, how to keep it safe.
Listen, talking about legacies.
Okay.
So I've been rooting through my old programmes. So this is Cheshire County Football League season 1969 to 70. And the last paragraph, they don't say a great deal because they're only really small programmes. But it says, on Monday, the draw for the first round of the Amateur Cup takes place. This tie takes place on the 13th of December and certainly... Sorry, I got that wrong, didn't I? On Monday, the draw for the first round of the Amateur Cup took place. This tie takes place on the 13th of December and certainly the team would benefit from far more encouragement from the terraces than has been heard in recent weeks. Now, bearing in mind, if you look at the team that started that match... on Saturday the 22nd of November 1969, the kickoff was 3 p.m. They were playing Marine. Terry Grosby was in goal. Ted Dickin, Stan Allen, I think it is, John Turner, I can't remember the names, Wally Bennett, Alan McDermott, Ian Johnston, Alan Wolfe, Alan Swift, Paul Clements, I think it was, Steve Highway, number 11, and G. Bradley was the substitute. And still, The murmurs from the terraces aren't particularly good. Bearing in mind, Skelmersdale at that particular moment were on 27 points, 7 points ahead of Horwich RMI.
At the top.
At the top of the league. Yeah, Steve Highway had scored 10 goals and Andy Windsor had scored 11.
Stunning.
Some absolute heroes in that team, but listen, there's no doubt about it. Doesn't matter which era, doesn't matter when and under who. Sometimes supporters can be extremely fickle.
Amen.
Yeah. So listen, with that in mind, it's been a long show. I'm tired. AJ's tired. I've got a lot of editing to do. So with that in mind, I'll leave the final words to the dulcet tones of AJ Vergette.
Good night. Tired. You've been listening to the Speaking Frankly Football Show with me, AJ Vergette, and my co-host, Mr. Frank Hughes. This podcast is available on most streaming services wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Amazon Music and YouTube. Please rate and review, as we do thrive off hearing your feedback. Please also subscribe. Do you have to rattle like that?
Sorry, I didn't realise.
Be quiet.
I didn't realise you were so rattled.
Yes.
Okay, I'm doing that. Listen, says the one that eats chocolates and crisps.
I've been really quiet today.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. My temperament's been right high up there.
Sorry, so I took you away from it. We're available on all platforms.
Yeah, I've gone past that point, which you'd know if you were rattling. Please rate and review, as we do thrive off hearing your feedback. Please also subscribe so that you can find out firsthand when a new episode of the show has been released. We're also available on social media sites, most prevalently Facebook and X, under the banner term Speaking Frankly Football Show. And so from myself and Frank, thank you very, very much for listening to a new episode, and we'll see you next week for another one. Until then, very goodbye for now.